Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terror Boys over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with and talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
To the second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Port Royal Speedway. We've got Devin Board with us.
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
Monday, June 2nd, 2025. What's going on? I am Jimmy here with Jay-Z and our special guest tonight, All-Star Circuit of Champions announcer Alex Robinson. We got a great show planned for you tonight. We're calling a little bit of an audible. Caleb Henry was supposed to join us. He's not able to make it, but we do still got other special guests for you. We'll come to that in a little bit in a second. So we're going to talk about the All-Stars coming into town this week, making their only Central PA visit of the year to Williams Grove and Lincoln this weekend. We'll talk about that, what's going on with the All-Stars, and more surrounding that series. We also have a lot of racing coming up this week to talk about. We'll go over that, and we'll go over Port Royal on Saturday night, and more. So, calling our audible. We got another special guest tonight, and he just joined. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cale Thomas. Cale, thank you so much for joining us on short notice.
Yeah, no problem.
What's up, brother? How's it going?
Going all right. Just going through the motions. Just got done eating, so I wasn't ready to set up a webcam or anything, but just hopped on my phone.
No worries. Yeah, appreciate the couple minutes here, and we're talking All Stars, and we would have planned to have you on, and then we didn't, and then now we do, and then we didn't, and now we do, and you've been a busy guy the last couple of months, so I got to ask you a question, and I mean maybe the world knows, but I don't know. You're back with the 49X. Saw you the first time here just last night, last night. Maybe had an issue, whatever. Are you going to be a full-time All-Star, or are we declaring back into that, or are we going to pick and choose? Did anything change from 2 original plans ago?
Yeah, so since the All-Star format works with car owner, car number, however you want to look at it, they can still go for the All-Star Championship with, you can run a different driver every night if you want. So, so the points are with the car, and yeah, that's their plan still. And yeah, they, decided to put me in the car to go chase after that.
Awesome. And so you got through time trials, I think maybe a couple laps of a heat. So everything up until the issue, everything felt okay. Felt like the seat fit. Felt like all your stuff again.
Yeah, we bent a valve, so I think honestly all night, I think I was dealing with that in some retrospect. It just got worse as the night went on. So I mean, to qualify like third overall and first in our heat, like that's at a track I've never been to. That's awesome. No matter where you go, because we're racing with people who, race that track quite a bit. So and the guy that ended up getting benefiting from me falling out, he ends up almost winning the race. I think Jeremy Weaver. So yeah, so that just shows the speed there, and even Brock Hallett was in that heat too, and he ended up third. So that heat was really good, good heat. So yeah, definitely right back where we started. I feel like just everything. Joe runs the program, Joe Demian, and he does a fantastic job of getting everything exactly where you need it when you need to just show up, and drive and start working on setup, right? So we don't have to worry about things not being right or not clean or whatever. He takes care of that for us, and I'm sure there's going to be times where in the swing of things, we're going to be, having the stuff maybe on the Indiana swings and being at my shop and stuff like that.
So and talk about Tri-City, it might have been a little bit of a blessing in disguise because it sounded like it was bumper cars the rest of the night. So, I mean, yeah, you didn't get to go out there and kind of compete, but it sounds like a lot of torn up stuff for guys who made it and didn't finish. And even the winner, I kind of saw the list of parts they had broken when they won the race. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Did you guys hang around and watch the rest
No,
of
I
it?
had I had a 6-hour drive home. So my dad had a flight today, and my girlfriend had work. So tried to get over. We got home at 2:30 in the morning, so left at 9:30. So yeah, I think they raced for another hour. So it sounds like they had actually a early, a decent scheduled night. We kind of got delayed with track prep, which I think it was kind of needed. I was a little skeptical, but they honestly did a great job. And I can't think of his name, either the owner or the guy that's promoting it or both. Talk to him. He's a nice guy, has a lot of changes he wants to do to the track. So I'm problems, and they don't even look at him as problems. And I feel like he kind of gets it. And so I'm really looking forward to when they do make changes, like going back. Like right now, it's not at the top of my list going back, but with the changes that they would bring, I just want to tell people, like, consider going back if they do make those changes.
Yeah, for
Super
sure.
cool.
So this week, what does your schedule look like this week? I mean, we're going to get to our weather forecast, and as usual, we don't know what the hell's going to happen, but we're about 2 for 11 on Fridays at this point. But what does your schedule look like this week now as you get prepped to be in Central PA?
I think, we have to, they turned around and got the motor back to Kistler. So I think they're going to turn that around for us. We have a new one Kistler's building for us too. So we'll have 3 motors, hopefully in the next week or 2, definitely before Ohio Speed Week. I'll probably head over there. I like to get, when it's that far, like get over there and be ready, Thursday. And, my girlfriend's parents live over there, so we have a place to stay and just be ready and, kind of do what I was doing before at the beginning of the year, just my life there. And I kind of know where I want to be setup wise and feel wise. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, to be honest, because I was fast at both of those places. So just be ready for that and go into it with an open mind and relaxed and head down and do what I got to do.
Yes, sir. So, to look a little further, and we won't keep you from dinner here long, to look out a little bit further in the scope of things, and I know this is a new, again, old new partnership, but have you guys discussed kind of beyond the All-Star schedule what else you want to do? Obviously, I heard Ohio Speed Week,
It's
which I don't, how much
that's
of that
all
is
it's part of
All-Star?
the All Stars.
Is
Yep.
it all
Yep.
All-Star? It all is. Okay. So I know that we're looking more short term, and racing really ramps up here in June for just
Yeah.
about the whole country, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But as you get through that, I know you're, as a team, almost every team's looking at their own speed week and what's coming up in June. But as you kind of go further, the All Stars aren't racing, 60, 70, 80 races. What does it look like, and, limitations or plan as you move through the summer? Have you guys gotten to have that conversation yet?
I think our main priority right now is the All-Star schedule, and specifically Williams Grove and Lincoln. I know that's not like the nice answer that you want, but I think that's just the important goal right now, and that was kind of bringing me back was part of that reason is they want to perform and travel all around, and that's not a dig at Trey or by any means, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that goes into it. Personal matters that that had nothing to do with me. So I think that it was a great opportunity for Trey at that for him, and it happened to me too. So
Breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, we lost you, Cale. You there?
You're back.
hello,
Yeah, we keep losing you a little bit, Cale.
Hey,
you guys got me
Cale,
back now.
you were into the book, probably the best, minute and a half of talking that we've had on here in a while, and I missed all of it. I didn't hear any of that. So, you kind of started with, hey, it didn't, kind of, it sucks for Trey, and then we lost you. So, what? Son
Damn,
of a bitch.
just not having luck tonight, are we?
Listen, I do Zoom calls all day, and when this happens, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. Whether it's for the, like,
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah, he
oh,
just
he
left.
gone.
Yeah.
He gone.
Alan says Cale has been eaten by a bear. Hold on,
He, his,
he's
his
back
girl,
here. Cale, do you got us this time?
girl,
Cale, you there?
are you safe, Cal? Are you in a safe place?
All right.
Alex,
Now,
where
now
did you
Alex
go? Where are
just
you
left.
going? You can't,
Oh,
Alex, I'm tying you in here. Where are you going?
I'm
What
here.
are
I
you
just have a
doing?
German
I
Shepherd
never
that
know what
is
you're doing back
so
there.
needy right now.
Listen, Alex, while
Yeah.
Kale figures that out, let me ask you a question with kind of tying this in with the All Stars and the schedule and what's coming up. It's been a slow start, right? You got some of these in. You got some rain. We're ready to get going. As this ramps up, and how do you fit into this travel mix, man? Like we've known you were Central PA, that's how we met you were in Vegas, now you're kind of back to do this announcing. So what does your schedule in life look like these days, and what are you going to do in your downtime?
Work on a 600. Actually, work on multiple 600s at this point
Okay.
now. Adam O'Brien, Nolan Laser, and honestly, whoever else calls me and asks me for help on a 600, I'll gladly help.
So you're staying busy.
I
Kale, you're
think
back.
Yeah, I think we got you. You sound loud and clear now.
Okay, you're here.
that was crazy. That was glitching.
That was, yeah. I'm like, wow, this is going bad quick. So you were talking about Trey, and unfortunately, kind of the situation because you lived it, right? So you can kind of empathize with it, and then we
Yeah.
lost you. So tell if you
I guess
remember what what you
I'll
were
just
getting into
say
there.
this. I'll just whatever if people want to hear it. I've already seen stuff online, and it is whatever. But I wasn't trying to get back. So if I want to just say that I wasn't begging to come back in. When I did talk to them, obviously you're going to talk to people. And they're going to ask what happened, right? Like, what happened with the 1A? Like, what? Da, da, da. First thing I said is like, hey, like, let's help Trey. Let's focus on Trey. Like, I was totally the Trey Jacobs, being in the car. So I was trying to go race in Kansas City, do that whole high limit swing. I wasn't really expecting this at all. So just wanted to let people know that, and this is not out of any, any bad meaning or whatever.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you can absolutely empathize with the situation because you've been on literally in 30-day span. You've been on both sides of that, and it's crazy like that it happens. But to kind of move the topic, you talked about the 12J and the high limit swing. That's a pretty race car, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's cool because like actually they came to the shop because we ran Kokomo, and I don't know, I just had this thing in my mind like, dude, I've seen this car somewhere, and I kept all my little sprint cars and collectibles as a kid, and I had a Beaver Racing 12X sprint car that I owned already.
That's awesome.
So
No
brought
shit,
it out to the
nice.
race shop, sat it on the mule while we worked and maintenance, and it was awesome.
And how was that working with that team? And obviously that they called or you knew them. Was there a previous relationship, or was that sort of like, hey, Cale, do you want to let's hook up for a little run here while our driver's away?
No, I never knew them at all, and they sent me a message, I feel like, on Facebook, and then got my number, and then just started the phone call, and just kind of snowballed. I mean, thing, they made me really comfortable. Was like, think how I felt at the time was like, a little embarrassed, kind of down on myself about, wrecking and the whole situation. And the first thing he said was, dude, if you don't drive the crap out of the car, I don't want you in the car. You better drive the crap out of the car. So it's just really cool. Like, obviously still respect his equipment, but just immediately be like, dude, I want you to go rip, and
that reassurance.
Don't change the way you drive, and be careful, just to, you can mess up that way. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of what happened to me, Lincoln, anyway. Was I got myself into trouble being careful. But and then you go watch we have one night together at Lakeside, figured stuff out, and you look at the next night, and I mean, that was pure ballsy, awesome qualifying lap that I did the next night at Tri-City, Illinois. So just really proud, especially I feel like if you talk to most drivers right now, like if you talk to them, like what are you struggling with? I feel like almost 90% of them always tell me like, we can't qualify. Like, we can't qualify. So the fact that we did something that people are wanting to do better or struggle with, I feel comfortable doing.
Yeah, and I think, man, I can't appreciate that more from a car owner that wants to go get it, right? And it's part of the business. It sucks. It's never fun. You don't want to be careless, but at the same time, if you're not getting after it, what are we here for? So I appreciate that as a fan. That's why I show up, right? I show up to see people, this sprint car racing. It's, let's get after it. So, yeah, listen, man, I appreciate the time. I'm not going to hold you up. The only question I have, the last one, I'm going to let you get out of here. You've raced a lot of both these tracks this weekend. Which one's your favorite of those two to race at?
Man, I honestly, I kind of like both equally in some ways. I think Lincoln is easier, like as far as like, it's kind of like Attica or like something like that. Not exactly, but just like the way it races, the wing speed, all that. But like, there's something about Williams Grove, and I know people kind of don't like it or whatever, but there's something about Williams Grove where like, I'm a good qualifier. I love momentum. There's something about it. Like, I like Wayne County. I know it's not as big, but like just the way the straightaways are long and then tight corners, like I feel like I could be really good at Williams Grove, and so it's kind of my favorite because of that. Like Lincoln, of course, I'm gonna be fine at Lincoln or whatever, but like, I like that people don't like Williams Grove because I kind of like it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It is like I think a lot of drivers, it's not that drivers dislike it. I think a lot of drivers actually like it. They don't like all their results, but I think they like the challenging aspect of Williams Grove because it is not easy. I think the speeds, the like I said, the tight corners with the long straightaways. I think a lot of drivers like it. I think it gets a lot of shit in social media and publicly just because there's times where like we need the dirty air to keep the racing closer, right? We need to get the lap traffic. When you're out front, man, that clean air means a lot, and especially there as much as anywhere. Um, the one thing I've never asked a driver was this: like when you're racing, it's hard to look too far out in front of you. You have to, but you're also paying attention to what's going on. Do you ever come off like turn two, and once you get going down a straightaway, or turn four really, and look at it and go, "Holy shit, that seems like the other corner's a long way away," or does it just happen so fast that you don't think about it?
Um, so when you're racing people, I mean, I assume if someone's really far away, then your mark is probably further out, right? Because you don't want to like dashboard drive. But then if someone's on you, like you, and the corners are so tight, you really can't look ahead to quote unquote avoid anything. So like, I feel like you're kind of just driving off the car in front of you for the most part. But then like, let's just say qualifying, I feel like my mark is honestly like the wall beside me, and then like the dirt. Like I'm paying attention to the dirt more than all the way down because I'm paying attention to like the different colorations and like where my attitude of my car is. Like I'm looking at my dash and like my front wing, not like dash watching, but like you can
Yeah.
look at your through your screen and you can see the attitude of your car through the square, kind of like on a video game, right?
Yep.
You're using peripheral vision. So I'm never like looking all the way down and like, oh no, how am I ever gonna get down? But like, yeah, I think it's kind of crazy that you say that because like I think you just have marks in your head. So like I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, I guess, but I'm obviously paying probably kind of like look up right before you enter to see where you're wanting to go, and then you hit that mark, and then you're looking ahead to the next mark, and then you're looking at the exit of the wall outside or inside. But you're probably tracking. Your eyes are tracking where you want to go more so than anywhere.
Which is crazy, right? Because that's what makes like the difference between me, who's not a race car driver, and yeah, iRacing and all these things. And there's marks, and you do try to hit your marks, but I almost feel like if I'm solo out there, daylight, time trials, I'm like, this is pretty cool. Turn three's way down there, but I guess it's not just driving in a straight line with a sprint car. It's where am I at? Like you said, where's the grip? Where's my at? The attitude. Where am I at? The attitude of my car. How close to the wall? What's the mark I want to hit? Like it's literally point after point after point all the way around you in a big half mile. I mean, I never really thought about it that way. That even during that, you're not looking that far ahead.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
definitely
wild.
we break it down more than I think people think, where it's all broken down. So then that's why you're like, oh, like this, I fit on entry, I feel like this, apex, I feel like this, exit, and then like straightaways, like I need more grip down the straightaways, or like, or I'm spinning up, or I'm pushing, like I'm fighting it so much, I'm tight down the straightaways, and I can't, or I'm flighty behind people, but I'm fine by myself, or and then you can run the bottom, and then like, oh, I'm laying left too much and then pushing, or I'm laying left and I just feel like I'm gonna spin out, and like there's just so many different combinations, but it's all broken down into like little bits and pieces for sure.
And in saying that, like I've watched Billy Dietrich's in our chat. I'm learning a lot. I don't know if that's sarcasm or not from Billy. I can't really tell. Texting is hard. But watching his YouTube videos of his in car sometimes, and he'll go, well, and you see down here we get going, and you see just a little bit tight in the corner. I know what tight means, but I'm like, that looked pretty good. Like it looked pretty smooth and clear to me. But behind the driver's seat, you are definitely feeling it way more than what we can see. And I can usually tell from the outside if what a car is doing as far as tight or loose or whatever. But like behind the wheel, that fine line between when you're making speed and you're a little off. Can you tell that, or is it sometimes like I know that guys have said, "Wow, that surprised me. That didn't feel good, but it was fast." But can you usually tell if you've stepped over the line one way too far? Like, "Wow, that was really good," or wow, that was really bad. And you
Oh
knew it.
yeah. See, I love this stuff. So, definitely on like a qualifying lap. Like, there's been a couple times that like I felt like I was good, but wasn't good. But like 9 times out of 10, like when I ripped that qualifying lap a couple weeks ago with the high limit guys, like I knew I had to have been in the top 5 at least. Like, there's just no way. There's just no way. And then half miles are definitely harder because you're going so fast. It's a little hard to tell. I think, Williams Grove's super hard for me to tell, but like Eldora and Port Royal is easier for me to tell because it's momentum-y. So like if I break my momentum, I can tell that a little easier than Williams Grove. You're automatically kind of breaking, quote unquote, breaking your momentum a little bit, and then you have to go back the long straightaway. But the funny thing is about, you're saying that people you're like, oh, I couldn't tell you were a little tight. So, working with my dad or working with crew chiefs, but usually it's my dad, right? He's you would say like, oh, you looked a little tight, or you looked up, as in like tight. Like, I was like, no, I'm making it do that. I'm making it do that. Or, oh, you looked a little loose at that. No, I'm doing that. I promise. I'm doing that. I'm tight. I'm actually tight. Or I'm actually free, but I'm letting off to make it unload. So I look tight, but I'm not actually tight. So it's stuff like that is just a little bit of, that's why people need driver's input for sure, because the drivers have control of what everything looks like.
It's pretty awesome. Man, I can't wait to see this weekend. I Fridays, listen, at this point, I don't even try to make plans for Fridays anymore because I don't know what's going to happen. It usually rains everywhere. But Saturday looks a little better, and I will see you at Lincoln Speedway this weekend on Saturday, hopefully. Jimmy, what do you got for Cale, if anything? I saw a couple questions come through from the chat.
Couple questions. A couple people asking, will you have merch with you this weekend?
I don't know. I'm just not on the merch train right now. It just costs a lot of money. It's a lot to travel with. I don't have a good way to do it right now. So I'm just focused on performing right now, and hopefully the merch sales will just fall into place eventually. But I appreciate everyone that wants merch and stuff like that. So hopefully I get into a better place in my career to try to do that more again. But right now I'm just focused on results.
And since you,
We'll get our buddy Chris Lynn to make Cale Thomas 49X shirts with like a plain white shirt with like a magic marker. We'll have some Cale shirts somewhere.
Yeah, I'll answer anybody else's questions too. I got plenty of time if you guys got time, but I appreciate it.
I have one other question. Since you guys will be, I know Sundays are a little iffy for everybody. Everybody's got jobs and stuff like that. But since you guys will be in town for Williams Grove and Lincoln, any thoughts about running BAPS on Sunday?
Man, if we rain out both places, it'll definitely be something we probably talk about, especially since I love BAPS. And honestly, BAPS is the most Ohio-y place in Pennsylvania. So I definitely would probably like that. But if we run Lincoln, I guarantee we'll just go home because we have Ohio Speed Week coming.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah, that's a lot.
If we get no racing done, I need to get a race in. Like, I just need to, which I'll be fine in Ohio, but like, there's more to learn, right? So,
right. Randy Kopp asked, what has been your most memorable moment in racing so far?
Man, I still probably think when I made the Kings Royal, that was my favorite. In my family car, I went out last to qualify. You know how much it drops off. I got 36th or 35th. I got the last transfer spot or whatever, like to make the invert. Made it happen in the heat race, held people off. So that was probably my favorite moment for sure. Most memorable.
Alex, you got any questions for Cale?
I mean, I'll probably talk to him multiple times this year, so not really.
You have his sponsor list, Alex.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to get the sponsor list and everything.
Do you have the hometown? Do you have his favorite food?
I had that before the season started. I don't know what you're asking me there about.
Where am I from?
I'm just making sure. You never know. Things might have changed. He was a driver. Now he's,
Hold on.
All right, let's make sure we got the updated roster ready to go for Cale.
Cale's going to tell me I need to know this by heart. Come on now.
While he's While
I
he's
heard
looking
that
that up, Santos asks, what's the biggest difference between different cars that you've ran?
Wow. That's kind of that's a toughie. It just kind of depends. The easiest, like just immediately is just motors, right? Even motor builders are different. I mean, I actually just compiled a list. I haven't had a chance to show anybody or tell anybody this, but I've compiled a list. I think I've ran 16 different motor builders or something like that. And I'm kind of scared to exit out
really.
of my phone to look at my notes. I don't know how this works, but in my notes, I think I could list the motor builders, and it's pretty insane. I mean, off the top of my list, Kistler, Garrett, Ryder, Newman now, Tim Engler's built my engines, Don Ott, Schaefer. There's one in Indiana. I can't think of his name. I've ran a Charlie Fisher.
Speedway?
No, not that one. It's a non-wing guy. Two not actually in a pavement sprint car. Whoever makes the 17 GP's motors. Hold on, let me just see if it'll work. Let me see if I can. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Oh, perfect. I'll just go through the list. Here we go. Watch this.
GP
Motors
engines.
I've raced: Engler, Garrett, Kistler, Ryder, Don Ott, Shaver, Newman, Charlie Fisher. Kind of Capetta. Trone had a Capetta. I kind of got confused, but it did say Capetta on the KRE. So that's from Australia. Evan Jackson. I don't know. I couldn't remember. I didn't look this up. Drine or Drain. He is a motor builder from Ohio. He's done like late model stuff, and he built a sprint car engine for Pete Grove. Mark Birch, which I don't know if it was exactly his, but it was a 360 of his. Speedway, Iowa Speedway. I haven't ran a Speedway, Indiana. Al Parker, Morrison, Dave Kahn was the Indiana one I couldn't think of. Motors I need to run. I wrote those down too. Gressman, Level, Speedway, Indiana, and a Stanton.
And then that'll be like you'll have like it'll be like what's that movie where they have all the rings?
I'll have the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's kind of
no,
like
but
that.
it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Like I mean, I don't know who would ran more engines than I have. Honestly, if you really think about it, it'd be tough.
I don't know if
Jack
that's something to brag about. Like,
no,
I'm just saying, I don't know if I've grown to brag
No, you
about.
think that, but think I've learned so much stuff though. Like just what I like.
Yeah.
Like I know off the top of my head, like if I would start a team right now, like what I would want if I could, and like what heads and what cams and all this stuff, headers, injection. You know, I'm really close with Tim Engler. Like I have all these big ideas and plans, and I have no one to share them with.
Well, you can share with me. So again, not saying best engine, your preference. What are the top 2 or 3 preference you've had so far if you could have it your way?
Man, I feel like that's low. I love everybody, and that's not fair because some heads.
I know, no, and I'm not saying anybody down the bottom of the list is like bad.
Okay.
They're all like they all build motors that run in 410s. I'm just saying like the ones that you like, the comfortable. This is what I would do if I could. Because let's say you win the lottery tomorrow, you're going to show up at a racetrack with some damn motors you want. So which ones would they be?
If I won the lottery tomorrow, I'd try to get a motor builder that could make me some as soon as possible. So I don't know who would
who can get in here first.
Yeah, I don't know. Come first serve. I don't know. So Kistler, I love Paul Kistler. He is such a good guy. He's so smart, such an important part of the sprint car community. And I love working with him. I love the guys at the shop. So that would definitely be one at the top of my list. I've worked. They accommodate me. They love Tim Engler, so that's definitely important to my heart. Builder that will work with me and Engler. So definitely at the top of my list. Next would be, oh man, Dude, that Garrett, I ran for the 49X. I qualified 4th at the million. Should have made the million. That thing is super good. I wish, he has his own package and his own thing he does. I wish I could have got him and an Engler injection with it and comboed that and dynoed it. But on a half mile, that's definitely probably at the top of my list for motors.
Well, you said it was in the 49X. Where's that
He
motor today?
sold it, I believe.
Son of a-
Yeah. Who bought it? Jason Myers.
Oh, really? Nice.
They run Garrett.
Corey Day can put that to use. That's for sure. Oh boy. Oh, insane.
Yeah.
All right.
He
What else?
was ripping at knock.
Yeah. Alex, do you got the list ready?
I got a question.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Not
For
for
who?
either one of you, because you can't. I'm going to ask you again Friday, because I'm not going to forget it. How do you pronounce your hometown?
Fairland.
Okay, then it's completely wrong on my list. Great, wonderful.
Did you
All right.
did you have wait,
Alex,
did you
here's
have
what we're
the
gonna
fountain
do.
down?
Alex.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I
Yeah.
that's
Fairland.
where my parents live now. I actually live in Greenfield, but I'm born and raised. That's my hometown is Fairland. Don't
There you
say Fairland either. Just say Fairland, kind of like Louisville.
Yeah, Alex, say it right.
Yeah. Oh, some people say
Okay.
Fairfield.
Alex, you're gonna Fairfield. That's
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania.
I have to say.
Well, there's probably one in about every state. Alex, here's what you're gonna do. I'm
Oh,
putting you on the
Lord,
spot
hold
right
on.
now.
Yeah,
You
here we
ready?
go.
I want you to prep like Cale's about to roll out for time trials, and I want you to
No.
introduce Cale
Yeah, do it. Come on.
right
No.
now. What do you mean no? It's only a couple days away. You've had all winter.
I'll make the sprint car noises too.
If I had it written down, if I had it written down in front of me, or Alex, if I had it written down in front of me right now, I don't announce. I would do it right now. You're the pro. Let's close all this shit
That's
right
what
here.
you call me, a pro. That's cute.
You are a pro.
It's single car
come on,
qualifying.
bro. Let's get after it.
When have we ever had single car qualifying is the question of the day.
I'm the last car to go out.
Driving the Rudzik 49X, right? The Rudzik 49X, Cale Thomas. So, there's more sponsors. I don't have all the lists in front of me.
Hold on. I'm currently copying and pasting it because I got to switch drivers' names. Because, I didn't find out until this morning that Cale was back in the car.
Rudzik Excavating,
You're stalling. It's like you don't want
Centerline
to dive into the
Boring,
end of the
Smith
pool.
Titanium
Look at
number 49X, Cale Thomas.
Cale could probably do that while
Let's
he's time
go.
trialing.
Does that mean I can
Yeah, for you with the
I
mic.
can delete the other three?
Now, that actually would be something I want to hear. I want to hear someone introduce themselves from inside the car over the PA.
I just
All
want
right, Alex, you're
bikes.
Yeah.
That's what I just said.
That'd be awesome.
For the whole race.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
want them
them
mic'd up.
Radioactive sprint
that
cars.
Sounds.
Yeah.
I'll pay for that.
That sounds illegal. Somebody's going to say someone's cheating. Can't do that. All right, Alex, you ready? This is the outro for Cale. Is your intro for his outro.
Now, I do have a question for Cale because
right.
you missed 3. And you can tell me if these 3 are off, so I can delete them.
You usually say
Behrman Racing Shocks.
Say 4, so. Oh, that's a good one.
FK Rod Ends.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of, I got a question for you that because I just got a text message, and this is business related. I need your email. Send me your email at some point.
My name.
Alex, you know we're live.
Yes, but I'm gonna forget it because I just got the text. So guess what? Business comes first.
Where's Chris? This is like.
Just change Alex's name.
PR person says thanks, by the way, in advance.
Oh, that's great. All right.
Come on, answer me your question.
Yeah, you had. Is that
Is
it?
that
Was
it?
that your question?
Email address?
Because I got a question here from some.
All right, Jimmy, go ahead. I don't know what
Just
Alex
one more
is.
question before I let you go. There was a couple other questions in here, and you've answered some of these questions the last time we had you on. So we'll try to make sure we link to the last time we had you on. We don't need to go through all of that. You know what I mean? But
Maybe my answers have
last in,
changed.
you think?
No, probably not.
But like, but Daniel Cohen asked, "Have you ever raced a wingless sprint car?"
I've raced a non-wing micro and a Silver Crown car, but no non-wing sprint car.
You did run a Silver Crown. I didn't
Yep,
know that.
pavement Silver Crown. I was 16.
No way.
Yeah.
Where at?
IRP, and then I actually raced at Gateway too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mile and a quarter. Oh my good. Yes, that was big boys. That's USAC.
How about?
Oh wait,
I have two. I
have two. Do what?
You got two with Silver Crown?
2 top 10s in the Silver Crown car, yeah.
Nice. At Gateway, you guys had to be hitting like 150 going into turn 1 because I know that.
Oh, we were averaging 145.
That's insane.
We're probably 180. We're faster than the NASCAR trucks.
180 is the stretch. Let's go.
No,
180 is the stretch.
So.
But I
don't know.
No.
If we're averaging 145,
Gateway per mile, right?
You gotta think they're locked, locked-ish down compared to a stock car.
Yeah, but I bet the highs and lows aren't that to get to 145 average. I bet the highs and low speeds aren't that different. Like, you know what I mean? 180 and
160.
You think? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
I mean, if you think, I don't know. In my
know.
mind, I just think NASCAR. We're faster than NASCAR, so like I feel like don't trucks go 180? It's a mile and a quarter.
Yeah. I think with the Silver Crown cars, you could maintain more momentum throughout the entire. That helps boost the average. You're going faster the entire way.
Planted.
Where
now I'm gonna go find out.
We'll
I'm gonna
find
out.
Out maybe
now.
Just correct me. Maybe it's I don't know.
No, I mean I would take it from you. You're the one in the car, so.
Yeah, listen. If it's 180, that's
I was
mind
16.
blowing.
Maybe I was just making it up.
We have a thing.
I was a youngin. That was really cool though. I really do miss pavement Silver Crown cars. I would like to race dirt, but honestly, there's something about pavement I like too. I know that's weird, but I love the pavement Silver Crown stuff.
There you go. At USAC Silver Crown cars can achieve speeds exceeding 145 with straightaway speeds potentially hitting 180. That's literally what it says on Google. That's insane.
Oh, yeah. Boom.
There you go.
Shit.
But that's insane. I've been watching them on pavement is pretty cool, and seeing them at the big tracks like that. They used to go to Phoenix and everything, but Gateway, they still do Gateway. So that's something.
I go to IRP. It's so cool. It's so cool.
But I got to go out with the Paragos to Springfield. We stopped by. We just passed the track. Like it was pretty cool. But yeah. No, we actually didn't pass that. It was a different one. Anyway.
To circle back though, the non-wing thing. We talked about it. It's just kind of dangerous, and I know that's stupid because I drive sprint cars, wing sprint cars, but it's just dangerous. And then it's just never been like I fell in love with wing sprint cars. Like I went to just wing sprint car racing, just kind of more in my blood, even though I'm from Indiana. And we did talk about this like last week though. Is like, okay, kind of like how much would you do something for? Like, okay, how much money would Eldor have to throw like a non-wing race to jump in it? And honestly, I talked about just 100,000. I would think about it.
Yeah.
So just all right. So one of the questions that was going around with High Limit a couple weeks ago, and it went into Weicker weekend, was Would you wreck your girlfriend to win a race?
I think I don't know. I don't like wrecking people. I don't like wrecking people, honestly. So I don't know. I don't know why people you have to wreck someone to win. Honestly, I know that people don't like hearing that. That's not old school, but honestly, if you think about it, old school people didn't like getting wrecked either, and they bust your ass after the race, or in the car. Honestly, stories about that. People talk about fighting in the pits. No, the next week, the guy wouldn't lift if you got chopped the week before. I wouldn't lift the next week, and we both go flipping, and you wouldn't chop me anymore. That's kind of old. That's more old school to me in my mind. So the whole wrecking thing for winning, I mean, as long as you're racing hard and it's in regards like you wreck, sure, but you don't have to. I mean,
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't have to.
Yeah. And listen, you wrecking the guy the next week, that's how you get fired,
That's how-
Cale. Okay.
yeah. Well, yeah. If you tear stuff up, you finish the race, even if it's for a win. You got to finish, even if it's 20th. So, don't wreck it.
Yeah. Don't wreck.
Don't wreck it. Pull in, brother. If you ain't gonna win it, you can finish 20th.
Pull
It's
in.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you
Yeah.
get out of here. That's enough. You said enough. Have a great week. We'll see you this
Yeah,
weekend.
excited to see
Hopefully.
you out here.
Good luck, my friend.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Cale.
Hey, buddy. Thank you.
Cale Thomas, everybody. Thank him so much for joining us on short notice. Always have a fun time talking to him. Like I said, there were some questions in here where we've had conversations with him, answering some of those questions. So definitely go back and check out those episodes. The last episode that we had him on.
Very, very
Yeah.
thoughtful. Yeah, very thoughtful guy. Really had some great discussions about. At that time, what was the hot topic?
It was the Wicker Bills because we had him and Jim Shuttlesworth on, or Chris Shuttlesworth on that night together, because there was just a rule that came out that day. It was like the beginning of last season. So
let's talk about this weekend, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this weekend a little bit. All Stars, local. We might see racing.
Yes.
We don't know.
So we got All-Star
Yeah.
Circuit champions making their only Central PA visit here to Williams Grove and Lincoln. Williams Grove Friday night, 7 p.m., $30 to get in. Also on Flow Racing, it will not be on Dirt Vision, along with support from the Wingless Sportsman and Lincoln on Saturday, 410s with the 358 sprints, again, 7 p.m., $30 on Flow Racing as well. Both races, $8K to win. So nice payday coming out of these races. Alex, how do you feel? Who from your roster of the All-Stars are you looking to compete for a win here? Can't hear you. You just muted.
You're
yourself.
muted.
Oh,
There
down.
you go.
There we go.
There you go.
This is what happens when you have dogs barking all the time. I have 5.
Okay, name them.
Caleb Henry, Cale
Okay.
Thomas, Zane DeVault, 2 dark horses, Darren Nida, and I will also say Creed Kemenal.
Okay.
So we've seen Darren Nida came in, ran some laps earlier this season. We've seen
Zane.
Before him,
Yep.
Zane DeVault, right? Come to Dabbles, kind of came in, and they were pretty, out, hey, we're here because we know we're coming back. We want to get the laps. We want to get some of that, and Zane DeVault, I think, showed some speed at times. I think that he learned a lot at Lincoln, especially that weekend. He needed to get the handle on things. I agree with you completely, and I think of that group now that Cale is back in the fold with his experience and time at these racetracks. Man, he not only a threat to be the best All-Star, but a threat to potentially run up front and win a race.
Actually, I forgot one signed on last minute at Fremont that I forgot has experience at the Grove, and his name's Greg Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been there a time or two.
Just a couple times.
Yeah. A few times, maybe a couple times. So, but tell me about Creed Kemenal a little bit, because my question is I want your take on it, because I haven't seen the results yet. He's a young guy getting his feet under him, trying to figure out this 410 deal. Why dark horse for him?
The Notebook. The Notebook that his father has on the Grove and Central PA. It's tough to, you look at most of those crew guys. Lane Racing's been there multiple times with Cap Henry back in the day, and that car's always been there. Same with Greg, he's always been there. You look at Chad. Chad's been to the Grove countless amount of times, has come, top 5, top 10s, multiple All-Star championships. The guys ran a lot of racetracks and a lot of races, won a lot of races. And I think that Notebook might come into play, especially maybe not the Grove, depending on how Mother Nature plays it, but Lincoln is a racetrack that we've seen underdogs win at both tracks like throughout the years. Again, the biggest upset
So
still to this day, I'm pretty sure, is TJ Stutz beating the Outlaws.
I'm going to call you on your bullshit a minute here, and I'm just doing it. The fact that you didn't put Devin Borden in your top
I was gonna
5
bring that was go.
and you put Creed Kemenal in there is mind blowing to me. Why would you not put him at least in that conversation and put Creed Kemenal in
Listen,
there
I could
instead?
put almost every single guy on our roster in the conversation.
No, you can't. But
Almost
go
you
ahead.
can. Again,
Listen, this is still the All Stars, all right? Listen,
it's racing. Anything can happen. We had this conversation before, and you do not buy it, and I find it hysterical every time we have this conversation. You won't buy it. I mean, Devin, the Grove Racing 45 looks fast. It's still getting there. I mean, this is their first full season running together, and with Mother Nature playing it, okay, they have a handful of races. I just say Creed and his dad have been together since Creed was born. And I think, again, Chad's Notebook on those racetracks is just bigger.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Devin does, and Santos here, says he has 2 career wins. Devin Borden has 2 career wins at the Grove and was very fast at Lincoln in the past. But like you said, it's a team just still coming together, you know. And then, you have Creed who, has his dad to lean on there, who has many, many visits to those tracks. So, but like you said, there's a lot of hitters here with the All Stars. It's very kind of wide open. And before we went on air, you're like, man, you're a pretty young guy, and you're older than half of the field. So,
Yeah, it's weird. But let's be honest. When I turn 25 in November, I'm 10 years older than Aiden Price.
yeah. So
We will not see Aiden at the Grove. We will see Aiden at Lincoln, though, in the 2MD.
Okay. So that's kind of where I would like about some of these young guys coming in. These Central PA tracks are probably different than what they were used to, unless they've have laps here, which not many of them do. How do you think they're going to fare? It's going to be. I feel like it, especially at Williams Grove. Maybe Lincoln will be a little bit more at home to them a little bit. But do you think, besides Creed, is there going to be any other young guys that are going to kind of you think that will catch on real quick?
Nida. I mean, Nida has laps there now. Like, he's ran both, and he's ran against tough competition. There was a lot of heavy hitters in town getting ready for the Outlaws when he was in. So it's like he knows the competition that's going to be there Friday and Saturday. I mean, Bobby Elliott opened a lot of eyes making the high limit show at Butler just a few nights ago. So it's like any one of these guys could make the show. Any one of these guys could end up winning. I like our format a lot. It's a curveball, quick time. It's a points format, so
Yeah, I
quick
was going to say,
time
please,
still
let's
inverts.
explain the format for everybody.
Hold on, because I still got to read it word for word because I don't want to screw this format up.
It's a little bit different than what we've been used to.
Hold on. Okay. So still 2 cars. Okay, if we're 32 to 41 cars is the cut of split qualifying of two different groups.
Okay.
But it's a points thing, so qualifying, quick time gets 200 points. Quick time then goes and starts 4th. So it's basically still the invert of quick time. The difference is if you are in a transfer spot, just because you don't finish top 2, if you're in a transfer spot and went quick time, you get your points. If you're in the top, I want to say 6 in points, give or take, depending on, I think it's 6 or 8 for the dash. if you're in the top 6 in points or top 8 in points, you're still going to be in the dash, and you could have finished 5th out of the 5 cars taking to the A main.
Right. Are there
Wait, what points? Are you doing points
Yes.
each night or
Points
points in the
each night.
series?
So it's
So each
almost
night has its own
if you take the
points.
Knoxville Nationals format
I was just gonna say the Weikert format. It sounds like
or
almost.
that,
But
we're
just with
not
the less
doing
invert.
passing points.
Okay. All right.
It's each finishing position gets points. So if you go quick time and you don't make a transfer spot, because you have, the 200 points for going quick time, you could easily still start on the pole of B main. Now, all transfer spots,
Well, sure. You don't transfer
transfer
out of it-
spots get an
out of your heat.
extra. I think it's 100 points, 200 points.
But if you're starting 4th and they take 5, you finish 4th.
So top 6
you're-
total drivers in points will make a 6-car dash. The winner of the final heat will then roll the dice for the invert of the dash.
So the dash is lined up by points, and then there's a random invert for the dash.
Yes. So if the invert's 6,
like
then if
that.
you're 6th in points and you barely got in the dash, if it's a 6 invert,
You'd
you
be
start on
starting-
the pole of the dash.
Okay. And then so you have a 6-lap dash.
Does not. I think it depends. It doesn't have on here.
I guess it probably depends on the size of the track.
Yes.
But so then you have a
heat
dash.
invert of 4 per heat. So 4-car invert.
Okay.
But I see.
Okay.
I see the.
Don't read the comments. We'll let our friends troll you later.
No.
Focus.
Nate's question.
Nate, so why be quick and be put 4th? How about being fast gets put up front, stop with the gimmicks?
Well, they could, but now if they go 4th to 1st, their points are even higher. They are kind of passing
They're kind
points,
of passing
right?
points, yes.
Is 4 because we go from 4th to 1st. 1st is worth more than 4th, right? Or did you say everybody who transfers gets X amount of
Heat
points?
finishes. So in a perfect score without the qualifying, depending on how many we take from a heat, you get an extra points. So 200 points bonus if you qualify for the A main. But a perfect night then, in that sense, is 500 points.
Okay.
So quick time.
Heat race win.
200.
Is 100. And then each qualifying car is 200 points. So again, if you go perfect score, you're guaranteed the pole of you're guaranteed top points. It's not guaranteed.
I was just saying you're not guaranteed pole because then you do an invert.
But you're guaranteed yourself a dash position.
Why would anyone race for that? You're going to roll a dice for invert. Who gives a shit?
Because you're guaranteed a top 6 spot.
Yeah.
To start.
Well, you are if you make it. If you go quick time, and you finish, if you start 4th and you finish 4th or 3rd, you're going to make it.
If we take 4, yeah, you're going to make it.
You're going to be in the top 6, right? Like you didn't lose anything. You gained a spot. There's going to be nights where they can go 4th to 4th and probably make it. That 200 points is big for qualifying.
Exactly.
The qualifying means a lot more than what is kind of being led on because of all the points that you get there.
Because in all honesty, okay, if you go 10th quick, you get 182 points.
That's 18 points less than quick time. But it's how much per spot in the heat?
100, 97, 94, 91 is your top 4.
It's only 3 points.
It's close, but it's
we got another guest, another driver from the All-Star Circuit of Champions, Bobby Elliott. Maybe he can explain the format a little bit better than Alex here. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us. All-Star Circuit of Champion driver here. Can you explain the format to us? Because Alex doesn't seem to be able to explain it very well.
Have you studied up on this, Bobby? Are you educated and prepared for what's about to happen this weekend?
Oh, always. For this weekend, the format for this weekend, I think, is the same All-Star format we've always had. So, we qualify, and qualifying kind of sets up your whole night. I think they invert 1st and 4th in the heat races, and then we go into heat races, and it's based off of. It's not big passing points, but qualifying still does matter. So wherever you finish in your heat race, the top 4 or 5 or whatever go straight to the main event, and then the rest of those guys will go to the lower main. And it will be lined up by your qualifying. I'm 90% sure.
Okay. Thank you. That
If
that was easy enough. Alex, just say that.
No,
I'm
it's
reading
good.
off the paper that I have to read. I am sorry.
We just like
All
busting
right.
Alex. By the
So,
way.
Bobby, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate the time. Listen, you're a newer guy for me. So, I was joking with Alex. I'm like, who is this? A driver? I know the name, but fill me in a little bit, man. Tell us a little bit about your background. Obviously, you're a young guy. Tell me a little bit about your background, family's history, and racing a little bit, and kind of how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, so I grew up racing quarter midgets, and that was kind of my first thing into racing. And my family, no one raced in my family.
Damn it.
My dad BMX.
What the?
Hold on, Bobby. You're breaking up a little bit.
It really.
Yeah.
Um.
Gotta love it.
So.
You there? No,
You there?
we lost you
lost
for a little
you.
bit there. You kind of froze up.
Oh.
Try to reconnect and come back in. Yeah. Yeah, we got you now.
You got me?
Man, because the call was coming in, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. It just kind of like froze up on me on my end. Anyways, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It
so
froze
I grew up racing. So I grew up racing quarter midgets, and my family, no one raced. My dad raced BMX when he was younger, and that was about it. But so we grew up racing quarter midgets. I was a national champion. We won at the Brickyard. We won at Daytona. We did all that stuff, and we traveled the country racing, basically cage carts. If anyone doesn't know what a quarter midget is, and then I moved up into the micro sprint ranks. We'd always like kind of watch like Zeb Wise, Emerson Axum, and all those guys, go up through the ranks and see what they're doing and see where they're getting in themselves. And this sprint car path was very like new to the time. No one really done it yet. So we kind of started racing dirt, and we raced dirt micro sprints in Indiana, and that was like 2021 I think, or 2020 was like my first. 2020 was my first year in winged and non-winged micros in Indiana, and we'd done that for a while, and we ended up traveling to, Tulsa Shootout and all those big races. And we finished top 10 in the World Championship and stuff in Indiana. And that was kind of, we had went as far as micros went. So we had actually had like kind of a neighbor, you guys know Brett Lane, I'm sure, in Lane Racing, but they live about a mile away from my house. And we I was grateful enough to go to Speed Week with them, and they ended up building a car with me, and we raced 360s for a year. Me and my family did, and Brett and them kind of were the helping hand, just kind of watching over me and guiding me a little bit through everything. And that was really cool of them. They always like helped me out and watched over me a little bit. And if I need help, they were always there. But it was basically just me and my family, and it's always been me and my family, and all in sprint cars and everything. And it's my second full year of 410s, you can say. So now it's just kind of been like, let's see what we got. And this year, I think specifically, it's been fun. I was just actually on the phone with Brett Lane about this. I don't feel like anyone's really seen the 5E this year for what we've done. And, we're a family-owned team and operated. We're right out here out of Allenton, Michigan. Whoever even thought of a sprint car driver from Michigan. But, we have a top 5 at Sharon this year already. We've led laps over Dale Blaney at Sharon. And, man, it's been a good year for us. We made high limit shows. We've competed against the best, and I'm definitely proud of what we've done this year. It's pretty fun, coming home and being so proud of this. And I go to work on Monday or Tuesday, and I'm back to my little own world, and I'm back in Armada, Michigan, and that's kind of cool. It's like nobody knows what we're doing, but I know, and me and my family, we know what we're doing, and we're doing something big. And now we're just going to tackle some some crazy big Pennsylvania tracks this week, and then we're going to go to Speed Week, and it's going to hit us hard. But I think we're ready. I think we're about as ready as we can ever be. I think we're testing ourselves, we're testing our limits, and I'm really happy with that. I'm really excited for it. Excited for the challenge.
So a couple things right off the top at Lincoln on Saturday, they're going to have a problem on their hands because there's already a 5E in our pits. So who's going to give up the number, or who's going to have to modify the number? Have you thought about that yet?
I knew there was a 5E in the pits. I knew this. And I really don't know. I mean, I guess they can put me under whatever they want, you know. In the future, it's still going to stay the 5 car, and it's going to stay Bobby Elliott on the side of it. So, you know, I'm ready for that. I'm excited. I don't care. I don't care what number they put on my car. I think we're still going to have a good showing, and you know, as long as the name's out there, that's all we really care about, you know. So.
At this point, have you obviously not raced at these yet, but have you even been to Williams Grove or Lincoln?
Not even. No, I've raced them on iRacing upstairs. I don't know if that counts at all, but no, that's about it. You know, this is gonna be my first time, you know, seeing the tracks in person, and I'm definitely been trying to study up as much as I can, watch the most film as I can. You know, watch people like you know, Donnie Schatz and people like that who've had success at these tracks, and you know, watching the people run J&J chassis. That's a big thing for me. You know, watching the people who drive like me, and I I really tried to like, you know, put myself in that position this year. I think as a driver where it's like you try and envision yourself a lot more in their shoes than they would in yours. So it's definitely just a lot of learning and a lot of film watching for sure. And you know me and my dad will be watching a bunch of races, I'm sure, from Williams Grove and Lincoln again tonight, tomorrow, and the next day. So it's just kind of our nightly thing, and we always, you know, talk about like, you know, what we see, what we're thinking. You know, we always see Williams Grove if we're driving, we're watching Williams Grove on the way home or whatever. So I've seen a lot of races on TV from Williams Grove, but haven't ever been out that way. So definitely excited to get to Central PA. You know, I've been to Western PA, but yeah, it's not the same. You know, Central PA is tough, man. It's definitely tough. It's the posse, and you know, it's something we want to go chase. And you know, I'm the all-star invader, and you know, that's kind of our thing. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be an experience, I think, for sure. And I don't say that in a way of like not just the competition, but the racetracks. And Williams Grove probably more particularly than Lincoln. Not that Lincoln is easy by any means. It's very two different ends. It's shaped different. There's elevation change, but Williams Grove is its own unique thing. We just got done talking to Cale Thomas, if you go back, and he has experience here, and he was breaking down like a time trial lap by himself around no other cars, and how much every single segment of the track is like breaking it down. Of like you're not looking very far ahead, even though it's a big racetrack. So when you go out there for that first time, and I've seen guys come in very talented and overdrive. I've seen guys come in very talented and be a little unsure of it, right? So
Yeah.
what's your natural driving style? Are you a guy who's a gasser, you're on it, or are you like, hey, I'm a calculated guy, I'm going to build up to the speed I need to be against my competition?
Yeah, no, I definitely I hear you out on that. You know, everyone's kind of I think I'm a little skeptical. I'm definitely gonna go into it. You know, the first lap it might not be the quickest one. You know, that's why we get 3 practice laps. I like that. But you know, we've been to Sharon. You know, Sharon I've never been to until about 2 weeks ago, and I know it's not the same as Posse Country. I'm not even comparing it to that. But you know, me and new tracks. You know, I went out and ripped. So we at Sharon a weekly show, you don't get practice or anything, and we went out there and, you know, I just kind of gassed her up. And I'm one of those guys who can step on the gas pretty hard when I want to, and especially in qualifying, get up on the wheel. And man, it's paid off this year, especially, you know, going to Sharon for the first time and qualifying second quick, you know, that's pretty amazing. When there's 38 cars there, you know, my goal was to make the show that night and up sitting on the pole at the end of the night. So it's definitely one of those things where I'm going to gas it up as much as I can in qualifying and stuff and see where we get. But I'm also one of these drivers where I know my limits, and I'm not going to go junk a car in qualifying and stuff because, you know, we're a family owned team, and we only got one car and one full car at least, and we got one kit car in in our shop in Ohio. So it's kind of, you know, it's unique. It's a unique situation. You got to know when to be aggressive, and you got to know when to lay low, and you got to know when to, you know, take your hits and, you know, take that provisional some nights. So I feel like, you know, it's going to be one of these like deals this weekend. I'm going to have to learn very quickly, and I'm going to be on the gas as hard as anyone in qualifying. And, you know, if I can get us out of the gate and put us in a good spot for the rest of the night, I think qualifying is the place to do it.
So completely unrelated to that, but related to Williams Grove, have you ever seen a wingless sportsman race before?
No, no, I have not actually. I mean, like, I've heard of them. I've just never seen them.
Have you seen a wing sportsman before? The
think
Central
I
PA
have.
version of what we call a sportsman, by the way. There's a lot of sportsman classes called out there, but the goofy ones, no front wing, the little bitty top wing. Have you
Yes,
seen those?
yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Yes.
Yeah, they make no sense at all. But now they took the wings off of them and they run them wingless. So
Oh, really?
um, it'll be something to watch for sure. There's a couple of them that get around there pretty good. So I actually thought it was wing sportsman when I went to say this, and I was shit. It's wingless, so it's gonna look like a wingless car to you. So that won't look that much different in the scheme of things. But here's the other part that's kind of interesting: is you can go back and watch a lot of Williams Grove. Don't go back too far because it's changed over the years a little bit. Like it has, but it hasn't, right? The cars have changed, the track's changed a little, not in shape, but track prep. And they've gotten all of what, 3 410 races in this year, Jimmy? Two?
I think.
Three? Maybe? Like even
Wow.
outlaw shows, maybe four. It's
Yeah.
been rained.
Been off.
It's rained every Friday night
Mhm.
that they just have the worst luck. So it's, you're going to be at a disadvantage from experience, but there's a lapse this year. So it may actually play into your
Yeah.
benefit a little bit of like, there's not a big notebook for 2025 for a lot of drivers on top of that. So let me ask you this, like like you said, family owned team, family's done it, not tons of equipment stored up in the art, in the inventory. What said, hey, let's go all-star racing. Let's go on a tour. Where did that come from?
Um, you know, we'd raced Fast Series last year, and the Fast Series was kind of more of an Ohio deal in Indiana, and that wasn't as grueling or anything. We didn't have to race Speed Week, so I didn't. I didn't have the equipment. I didn't have, the power to go 9 nights at the time. But this year, I've always believed in pushing ourselves, and I've always believed in, pushing it to the limit, even though if, we can't do, everything. We can't be the most funded team out there and whatever, but I've definitely got a very willing family to, come and take a lot of days off with me and go racing with me. And, when am I going to be 19 years old and racing the All Stars again? And it's just kind of one of those deals, it's like, why not? Why not go run the All
Hell yeah.
Stars? Why not throw your name in the
Love it.
hat? And you know, it's great. It's definitely cool. It's definitely cool to be named an All Star. I've grown up, like I said, I used to help, lane racing and stuff. I used to go on Speed Week with them, and I watched Cap, always, and I watched all of their drivers, and man, it was always like cool to be in an all-star show. And we sat on the pole one at Fremont with Cap and them with lane racing, and there was no better feeling than standing on that front stretch at the end of the night with them. And I want to be a part of that. And I want to do that for myself. I'm going to do that for my team, and I'm going to do that for my family. And I definitely what that would mean to me is just everything. And why not? My first big 410 win. I mean, if it could be an all-star win, that'd be awesome. And I'm very fortunate to have such a willing family to do this with me. And yeah, I'm just, why not? Why not? Welcome to, the world is like, if we have a chance to do it, everyone's in good health here, and we're very blessed for that. And we might as well.
Dude, I love it. I'll be honest with you. And listening to your story, well, now we haven't had what I'm about to say. We haven't had this driver on the show, but listening to your story reminds me a lot of Danny Sam's last year. Like, kind of like, hey, popped up on the scene, good results, family. Like, they have like 2.5 people running up and down the road, and they had a hell of a season running everywhere, and they're on the tour, on high limit this year. Like, am I crazy for thinking like it has those vibes, like Jimmy, Alex? Am I crazy, or is it kind of seems similar to
No.
like that same story? You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's awesome, man. And I've never driven a race car, and 19 to go on the All Stars, and you get to go to Central PA, like you said, Michigan guy going home, back home in the quiet little, no one knows what we're doing. Everyone's about to see Bobby Elliott. And we're about to find out what Bobby Elliott's all about. So I don't even know if I've ever seen the car. So tell me a little bit about the race car. Who's on the car? What's the color? What do we got for a race car?
So this year, we've got an all black deal, all black race
Oh,
car
I'm
with
out. Never mind.
turquoise
Nope.
wing sideboards, and that's kind of been a new addition. I've always like run some blue on the car, so we added a little bit, for the last few weeks and stuff, and I guess it's paid off. So we've had some good results for it and everything, and yeah, just big 5E black with turquoise sideboards, and yeah, Crest Lincoln Automotive is our main sponsor this year. They're very good to us and everything, and Ron's CarQuest and Armada, you know, they help us out with products and everything. They're great for us. And we have Powder Coat Company on the car, SS striping and everything. And Race Day Revive is my sister's merch company, and she runs that through our racing and stuff. She comes with us to races, and she sets up a booth and everything, and has our merch usually. So that's, you know, that's part of it where it's definitely a family oriented deal and everything. And yeah, it's
Slow down
definitely
a
there's
second.
a merch for this weekend.
What's okay? Who's the sister? What's her company's name?
Sydney Elliott, racedayrevive.com it would be.
Okay, got it.
So
And then
there will be
you
merch.
will have
Yeah.
merch here this weekend.
Yeah, for sure, you know, and yeah, she's coming this weekend too, so she'll definitely have a stand there and everything, so it'll be good. And then, you know, if you guys if she's ever not there or whatever, we'll have our merch with the All-Star trailers. So we're always big on getting my name out there, and you know, especially this weekend at Butler, we did great with selling t-shirts, you know, local guy, or not local guy, but Michigan guy, you know, Michigan family. So it definitely paid off for this weekend, and paid a little bit of the bills, and paid a little bit of travel expense. So definitely happy with that. You know, she's doing a great job. You know, my sister's all for it, and she's definitely in racing, and she definitely loves doing it too. So it works out great. You know, I'm very happy and blessed to have her as a sister and to have her doing this. And yeah, I got a great family behind me, like I said.
Yeah, I saw a buddy of ours in the chat who Nasty Nate, they call him. Nate said, "How old?" And you don't need to answer that question, but I'm sure that has to do with Seth Dietrich somehow. Like that has Seth Dietrich written all over it because they're friends. So, but okay, so you're gonna have merch this weekend, either on your own trailer booth or at the All Star booth. Williams Grove, great access for the fans to get to merch. Lincoln's a little bit different. I don't know how they're going to handle that this weekend. They may actually open up, I guess, in turn two, kind of where like the Outlaws set up there, in turns 1 and 2. So
Some of the
the
All-Star
All-Star
drivers
drivers
also have
will
merch
merch
at the
as well.
All-Star merch trailer if you can't make it to the pits or their trailers. So there you go.
Perfect. So,
Yep.
all right. So long travel. Like, actually, let me ask you this: as a team, will this be the furthest you've traveled to race at this point?
This year, yeah, it would be. This year, you know, we've always believed in traveling a little bit. You know, last year and the year before, we ran 2 years ago. I ran some all-star races in Missouri and Illinois and stuff. So that wasn't really too bad. I think it was like 9 hours, about probably this. I mean, for the same. I think it's 11 or 10 to Lincoln from my house, and I think it's yeah, somewhere around the same for Williams Grove. So yeah, it's gonna be the farthest we've traveled in a while, and definitely gonna leave early. And I think we're actually leaving here Thursday night. We're gonna go and drive halfway, and then drive the rest in the morning and stuff, and get us ready for Friday. Make sure we have our legs about us and stuff, and stay in a hotel room. So that'll be cool. I'm definitely excited for that. You know, I don't like driving 11 hours in the morning. I like waking up that early. So yeah, it's definitely nice to, you know, drive halfway and sleep for a second, and then get back on the way. So yeah, farthest we've traveled this year. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
And you being in Michigan, kind of like you've been some Ohio, whatever, you're used to the Amish. So you're going to be going right through Amish country. It won't be like a new thing to see a horse and buggy. You know, you'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at Butler this weekend, I was so upset because they have a guy who lives across from the track and whatever, and he's always out there cutting the grass before when the gates open and stuff, and he wasn't doing it this weekend. I'm like, that's part of Butler. You gotta have that guy out there doing that. So it's definitely weird going there not seeing that. You know, Wayne County. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but that is all Amish country. I've been there a million times, and that's crazy. And yeah, so I'll be used to it. No worries about that. I'll be driving through the middle of nowhere. I pretty much live in the middle of nowhere in Michigan. So
I want
Now,
to talk about Butler for a second. Go ahead, JC, if you
yeah.
if you
well,
have
I was just going to ask, go ahead about Butler because I have a question about Ohio Speed Week coming up.
Okay. I just want to talk about Butler because the track seems to race awesome from what we've seen. We're from outsiders looking in. It raced well again this past weekend with high limit. You finished 18th out of a stacked field of almost 40 cars, so you know seemingly a decent run for you there. How did your night go? Tell me a little bit more about Butler because it seems like you've raced there more often, and then I want to hear your take on the Brad Sweet situation there.
So Butler went great this weekend. You know, for my team, it's about as much as you can ask for. Honestly, we were on the hammer in qualifying, and we were no quick time or anything, but 10th quick in our flight really did us good and put us in a transfer start for the heat. And you know, in the heat race, I just went forward a position, and we finished fourth in the heat race, and we were in the main event. And I don't go to Butler a lot anymore. I went there a few times last year, and I don't like racing Butler a lot just because I like racing, the different tracks in Ohio. I don't like sticking to one track or whatever. And it's still a long way from my house. Believe it or not, that's still 2.5 hours. So I'm in the middle of nowhere in Michigan. Like I said, I'm not near any racetracks. So it's kind of like just a track we go to if we want to, a close drive night and stuff. But for sure, it was a good night. Feature, we didn't have the, best setup on the car or anything, but, we still kind of held our own. We didn't really get lapped till about just after halfway. I think it was like 16 to go or whatever. But I know it's nothing to be proud of or whatever, but definitely ran in front of some good guys, and guys I've grew up racing with and everything. We ran in front of them, and that was really nice. And it was really nice to kind of like prove ourselves and put ourselves out there a little bit. Like, hey, this kid just locked into another high limit of event, and I've never missed a high limit event that I've started in, so that's been really cool. And I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy with what our family did, and not having to run a B main or anything. That was awesome. I just love sitting back, relaxing and watching the track. And Butler's a place, they pack the stands every week. I don't care if it's a weekly show. I don't care if it's a high limit show. I don't care if they have street stock class there, and that's it. They're packing the stands every week, and that's pretty amazing, to go there. And, I don't know if anyone saw the picture on Derek Bean's Twitter, but man, that place was packed. The Flow Racing, like, big shot of it. You could not fit another car in there. And, the pits are insane. The atmosphere is amazing. And, you have so many people coming up and talking to you. And that's something I love about Butler every year is, I have people come up and talk to me and, take a second to talk to me. And I love doing that. I love taking a second and, kind of relaxing, and you come back to the real world for a second, and you kind of amp yourself down a little bit from where you are. And that's something cool I always love doing. I always love talking to the fans and everything. But Butler's a place that's going to be on the map. I think it's safe to say, the last 2 years kind of put on a show and whatever, but I think that place is going to be on the map, as one of the better 410 wing places to go run. And, maybe not weekly, but, for the big shows, it's awesome. And the Brad Sweet situation, I was behind them with 3 to go, and I saw him dicing it up with Thorson and that. And man, I saw him blow the tire, and I kind of was right behind him, and I ran through it. And to be fair, I was parked at the end, and I did get out of my car after the race and stuff, and he did miss the scales. The high limit guy was pushing him, but he did miss the scales at the time, and they were pushing him back around to scale him again, I get, for the first time. So he did miss the scales. I mean, not to be what he did, though. I was like, how would he even scale a car with the right rear being flat and everything? But I don't know. They did let the race go another lap extra. He never held up the 2 to go, is what everyone was saying and everything. So I didn't see the 2 to go either, to be fair. But it was hard to even tell for me where I was on the track, to be honest with you. It was kind of dusty, and I was in between the group of the really fast guys, and the second half I was in between them all. And I kind of had a big gap in between me, so I had zero idea where I was the whole race. And come off the track, it was like, I think we got like 17th and or like 18th. I'm like, well, yeah, that was about right. So, but no one really kind of moved a lot in the second half of the race. And it was just kind of one of those tracks where it got kind of hammered down in one groove, and you had to kind of either survive on the bottom and run the top in the other turn, or survive on the bottom all the way around. And it just got to one of those points where it was like do or die, and if you had to go, you had to go. So you might have to hurt some feelings, but you had to go. So I don't, at the end there, that was kind of an interesting deal, but he did miss the scales.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that he was DQ'd, and then I saw Jeremy Elliott's explanation on it yesterday, and it's like, it just sounded interesting. It sounded like an unfortunate situation, but the rule's the rule. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I honestly, I don't even remember if he crossed the finish line. I remember passing him on the white flag lap when he was up top and rolling around, but I don't know if he made it around 3 and 4 to get the checker. I don't remember. Like I wasn't on the track anymore, so I don't know. I didn't. The race did go a lap late, but I guess when the checkered's thrown, you stop racing. You race till that point.
Right.
So I don't know if. I think that should always be a thing. And, I always go in a lap extra myself just to make sure, you're done, and make sure, you're not about to get lapped or something. You have to go that extra lap. But I always go the lap extra, and I've been taught that a lot lately. Since the Rico Abreu deal and whatever was like 2
Yep.
years ago with the high limit, you always go a lap extra. I don't care. I don't care if you're like, oh, I thought they threw the checkered. You go that lap extra until they come over the receiver and tell you to slow down.
So you see those caution lights come on.
Yeah. You mentioned Derek B's Twitter.
Yeah.
Top 5 troll of the last year. Do you know this person personally?
Dude. Yeah. Me and Derek, I've known Derek since I was racing 360s a few years ago, and me and Derek have always, been buddies at the racetrack. And I love talking to Derek. I love messing with him. I love, he's a very down to earth person, a real guy. So I really appreciate, coming over to talk to him. Actually, this weekend, if you guys go on his Twitter, I gave him a front nose wing and everything from my car last year with lane racing on the front of it and stuff. And that was a really cool deal. He's always been one guy who's supported me, and he bought a sweatshirt and stuff this weekend, and he deserved that front nose wing out of anyone. And I love that guy. I love talking to him. I love seeing his Twitter posts. He's awesome. He's an awesome dude, and I love getting to know him.
We're gonna get him to Pennsylvania. We need to have some of that humor, sarcasm to PA. Not watching it from afar. We need to get him to PA. So, but yeah, like I'm not shouting him out, but like I appreciate some of it because there's still. It's amazing to me that the internet hasn't caught on, and he'll post something, and I'm like, really? He's trolling y'all. Pay attention. Like, come on.
I saw Tony Stewart reply to one of those things last week. I was like, oh my, Derek. I'm like, what did we get into? I was like, oh, this is funny. I love it. I love stirring. I love he stirs pot. I know he's all kidding. I know the guy, so I know he's kidding. Most people don't, though.
Right.
Flow Racing mentioned him at the high limit thing. Nobody understands it. He's just being funny. That's who he is. No. So it's awesome. I love it.
And I like that it's his own account. I had a burner account once for Twitter. I'm not going to say the name. It got banned. It was a really good one. Like it was gaining a lot of traction, and I think the parody account's real driver probably cried about it to Twitter and got it banned. So that was a little disappointing, but that was a good time while it lasted. But anyway, I digress. I want to talk about Ohio Speed Week because we finally in the Northeast might be turning the corner towards summer. And in Pennsylvania, it's been like in the 50s and 60s, and it's raining. It's really, we haven't had a day in 90 all of May, and almost every year we get a 90-degree day in May at some point. We haven't even been close.
Yeah.
It looks like it might be flipping the script. So you're a young guy, but for conditioning wise, that's a long week. It could be hot, a lot of racing. You don't tear things up, or let's say you tear up just enough that you got to work that much harder. What are you thinking about now in prep for that week for yourself as a driver, both mentally and physically? Or have you even gotten to that point, or you're like, hey, I'm 19, I don't give a shit, I'm getting after
it? I'm one of these guys, who goes running, and I was a big basketball player in high school and stuff, and I played basketball, intramural rec basketball still in the winter and stuff. And I believe in running. I believe in staying fit. I believe in going to the gym and everything. And this year especially, I think I finally took my health a little bit more seriously. At the end of the year last year, I weighed about 200 pounds, and it just wasn't healthy. I got beat up after a night of racing, and now we're down to 170 for me. And I don't know if anyone saw Nick Spieth in season media's strength post. They had a grip tester at Butler and stuff, and I had the second highest grip strength of anyone there, of any high limit guy or anything there. And I have a hand squeezer I use all the time, and that's just one of my things. And it's definitely like one of those things where you gotta stay fit and you gotta stay in shape a little bit so you can outrun these guys the last 10 laps and everything. So it definitely, nobody's prepared for the 9 nights. Everyone's gonna get tired of those 9 nights, and it's just gonna be one of those things. It's who can hold on that steering wheel the tightest, and who can let it rip the longest. And mentally, I think it's a big deal. It's not beating yourself up every night, even if you make a mistake or whatever. And I've been fortunate enough this year, where knock on wood, I haven't really had one of those terrible nights where I've been that off, where it's been all on me. So it's been easier for me to go home and at the end of the week, and I enjoy wash day a lot more when we have a good finish and everything. So it's one of those things where you got to stay mentally happy and focused, and you got to be your light to your team, and you got to be that wick that keeps turning up throughout the week, because you can't let your guys get down. You can't let this team get down, or else we're going to have issues and we're not going to be positive going to the racetrack and stuff. And you got to be positive going to the racetrack. And, that's why, it's healthy that I'm up here in Michigan. I don't have to be, I guess is a good or bad thing. I'm not consumed in it 24/7, only like I'd say half the time. So it's a little bit easier for me mentally, to keep the crap out of my mind and keep on the straight arrow and keep the happy stuff rolling and be positive. And, this year I think I've been nothing but positive and proud of what our team's done and proud of what my family's been able to do with me. So I'm very, positive going into Speed Week and everything. And I know, those tracks, I've been to some of them before. So it's definitely gonna be fun. There's some I haven't been to. I haven't been to Moeller or Millstream, but I've drove past those tracks multiple times. So it's like, how different can they be, right? But I'm sure I'll learn quick, and
You're gonna find
we'll,
out.
we'll see. Yeah, yeah. If I like it or not,
Right.
right? So it'll be good.
So I gotta say, I don't think that you knew this going into when this day started, that you would become such a Turn Two Terribles fan because you put three T's at the end of your last name, the Turn Two Terribles.
Oh shoot!
I don't know if you knew that,
Wow.
but like he's a true Turn Two
Wow.
Terribles fan now.
There
So
you go.
this weekend, whether we see you Friday night, Saturday night, one or both, I will make sure because I'll be at the pits at both if I'm at both races. I don't know what Jimmy's plan quite is yet, but either way, I will make sure I come up, introduce myself, say hi, welcome to PA. Best of luck this weekend. Jimmy typically does this part. I didn't see a lot of normal fan questions. I got all our goofy ass people in the
Yeah,
chat here.
there's some.
They're having a good time. I appreciate
They're
all of
having a
it.
good time there.
They're having fun. But shout out some of your sponsors that you have on the race car this year, and I obviously parents help you get up and down the road. But thanks some of the sponsors, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, no, just big shout out to Crest Lincoln Automotive Group. They've always been with me the last like 4 or 5 years. Even when I was in micro sprints, they were helping out, and they've been a really big supporter of me and what I'm doing, and definitely really, really fortunate to have them on the side of the car. And like my sister, Race Day Revive, she's doing a great job with my stuff, and I always appreciate her selling my stuff at the track, and she makes her money doing her stuff too. So happy to be doing that. Happy to be having her on the car again this year. SS Striping, powder coat company right here in Michigan. They do all my powder coat on my stuff, and they really help out and everything. So they're great support system. And Ron's CarQuest, my local CarQuest store here in a little old Armada, Michigan. So they always help us out with product and everything, and they always watch over us. And like I said, if I need an oil filter, air filter, whatever, I know I can go there, and it'll be there the day after 8 a.m. So that's the best part about it. And very fortunate to have them in the car and everything. And yeah, thank you guys all for having me on or anything. If you guys have any more questions for me, ask away. If anyone has anything to say or whatever, let me know. But thank you guys, obviously, and I'll see you all this weekend, I'm sure. And I'm pumped. I'm super, super pumped to get out to Central PA and ready to get ripping, ready to get going.
Yeah, I think
Tell me what's up if you got
Alex
questions.
has a question for you. It may be about you're like Alex doesn't know the format. He doesn't know the name of the series.
Oh my
doesn't know the
God, here we go.
series. He's already. I guess he's announced a race. Have you had one? Have you even had one?
They've had one.
How did you make it through the night?
Yeah, one.
How did you make it through the night and not know the format? Anyway, Alex has a question for you, Bobby. If we need to help out, we'll help him. But go ahead, Alex.
Oh no, because me and him had this conversation night one. We talked about provisionals going into PA before Ohio Speed Week. Explain to people, if we don't see, we might have a handful of guys not make a show. Explain to everyone else why most guys won't burn a provisional this weekend compared to what everything else we got.
Well, I actually had this conversation with my team and everything about a month or two ago before the season even started. But it is very tough to go forward at Williams Grove at a half mile if you're already not good and you have buried yourself in late and deep in a B main. Why burn a provisional? And for me, the biggest thing is, we have one motor, and our team has one motor, and I cannot put 40 laps on it at Williams Grove if I'm just gonna run last the whole time and take these like last place points. And we don't get paid until we like keep moving up spots. You don't get paid the start money. So you got to be able to take that provisional at a track you're going to move forward at, and a place you're going to be successful at. And that is one of those tracks where it's Williams Grove. It's a half mile. It's tough on equipment and everything, and that's one of those things where you got to kind of buckle down and say, it's okay. We'll load this up. Let's go to the car wash and let's get ready for Lincoln tomorrow. And with Speed Week, I've been to most of those tracks before, and I know how to go forward there. And you know what to suspect, I guess you can say. So if I'm taking a provisional, I'd probably take one there, because Williams Grove, there's guys who are fast all over the country and go there and they struggle. And but it's one of those places where it's tough to get good, but if you find it, you're going to be good. So it's just kind of one of those tough deals. At that point, you just got to kind of swallow your pride and move on to the next night.
What's interesting about that this week, if we get some racing in, Selinsgrove is running 410s on Friday night, right? So am I right, Jimmy? Friday night, Selinsgrove has 410s, correct? So
Yeah.
this is an interesting weekend, Bobby, in Central PA, and how this car count is going to fall, where there's probably going to be a B main, but you may not be as buried as you normally would think if there was not Selinsgrove, because they're going to pull some cars, and there's going to be some good cars go up there for to race what they race. I'll be honest with you, as just like as we're as fans of sitting around here, this is a very interesting, intriguing weekend on how many cars. Like the last Selinsgrove race was going to happen, they were both going to be okay. Williams Grove was going to be all right. They were going to have a full field.
Yeah.
The night that they did,
It rained late. It rained late.
It rained late. They were going to have a full field with Selinsgrove. With the All-Stars coming in, the cars you guys are bringing, and now Selinsgrove has a good paying Friday night, right? The Kramer, is it the Kramer Cup, right?
Yep.
They have a good paying deal. So, man, time trials. Again, it's just time trials and clean air and get yourself going, make the laps. You may not have to burn it because you may end up in a good spot, but there's going to be some guys that come to Williams Grove that know how to time trial. So, it's still going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy by any means, but it's going to be a very interesting weekend when you pull into Pitch Friday and start counting cars and wondering what's going on. It's going to be an interesting thing for us this weekend, I think, with both events being pretty well on the map in a sense.
But the All-Stars are bringing quite a few guys, so I mean, there's still
14 or 15.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to have at least 30 cars. So
30 cars. I mean,
at
30
least
probably.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
To be honest with you, I don't think I've raced a race this year where it's been under 35 cars. So one of those deals where it's just kind of, like you guys said, right back to time trials. And, we've been testing ourselves this year for sure. We haven't went anywhere soft or easy yet or anything like that. We don't go and try and cherry pick. We race the best of the best. And, it's 35 cars every weekend pretty much. And, my dad always says, well, why do you think we're here then? Why would we go somewhere, where we're not going to learn anything? We might as well be here and get better. And, I take a lot of pride racing my way into this show with 35 cars. And it's definitely nice. It's definitely, it would feel good to go run top 5 somewhere else and not be run the All-Stars or whatever. But that's not why we're run the All-Stars. So we're run the All-Stars to test ourselves and test our limits and to kind of push ourselves. And that's kind of the name of the game this year. And I didn't suspect anything less than 35 cars at the Grove. That's just me, though. I suspect the most cars possible. And I guess we'll see when we get there. I didn't even know Selinsgrove was running Friday night, honestly. I didn't really pay attention. I just kind of lock in on my stuff and figure it out from there. So
yeah, that's fair. You should. You got enough going on. You got enough to worry about this weekend with all the new shit you got going on. Alex, anything else? What do you got, Alex? You're super talkative tonight. What else you got?
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome, buddy. You would think he's who? Okay, Bobby. If you had to pick between Jimmy, myself, and Alex, who's the all-star announcer? If you didn't know a damn thing, this guy. Look at him.
Well, I know it's Alex because, we've talked tons of times. He texted me. He always texts me and everything. And but I don't know.
This guy.
We'll see. I guess you guys have a competition about it.
He wants me to overrun his show, apparently.
I tried to put him on on the spot earlier, right? We had Cale Thomas on a few minutes ago while we were waiting for you to get here. And I said, all right, Alex, it's your turn, man. You're up. You're the announcer. Introduce Cale like he's going out for time trials. He wouldn't do it. He knows this guy.
No, it's not. You don't got the feel or anything. You don't got it. And also, Cale has not run All-Star race this year yet, so he doesn't know all
I'll
the
say no, I
stuff. So I'll give
He
you
actually
that.
insulted me. Wow.
He knows him.
But Cale said he would even make the engine noises to simulate
He
hey,
he
this
did
is
make
real.
the engine noises.
Oh,
He made the
geez.
engine noises and everything.
Wow.
Alex still wouldn't do it. Crazy.
Wait,
Anyway,
you want me to
Bobby,
do
hey,
it?
I was gonna say, you want to do it for Bobby?
You want me
Bobby?
to do it? Here, I'll do it. It's called Watch Flow Racing this weekend, and I'll do it.
There
See
you
how
go.
it
Look at that.
Well, you got to be kidding me. This guy. I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be able to hear it. You're
But
killing me.
Well, you'll hear it. You'll assume it. You can picture it in
absolutely.
your head.
So here's the thing, Bobby. You don't know me yet, but I do photography. So I'm a lot of times in places where I can't hear anything. I'm standing around. I'm not in front of the I'm not in the stands sitting around. Like I rarely can hear announcers. Some places I go, I'm glad I don't hear them. But this weekend for my buddy Alex, I wish I could hear him. And I'm not
Yeah.
going to be able to. So, all right. Bobby, thank you so much for the time.
thank you.
Was there, Jimmy, was there anything that came up that fans asked? Anything that, okay,
No.
we got it all. Hey, get out of here, get some rest. We'll see you this weekend, my friend. Good luck to you. Nice
Yes.
meeting you.
Safe travels.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys for having me on. Appreciate yeah, have fun this
Yes, sir.
weekend,
You too,
guys.
man.
And yeah, come down, meet me and whatever. And yeah, you guys will be seeing the 5E. So get ready.
Sounds good,
So
man.
excited for Central
Take care,
Penn.
buddy. Take it easy.
Thank you.
We'll see ya.
Bobby Elliott, everybody. Excited to see him come to Central PA. This has been a whirlwind of an hour and a half here.
What a
Just
great
kinda-
show.
We went from we were gonna have Caleb Henry, then that fell through, and then we had Cale Thomas and Bobby Elliott.
I
So
don't know if Caleb Henry's actually a real person. I'm not even sure that's the thing.
The man won the opening night of the All-Stars, which was his first career All-Star win. Thank you very
You
much.
call him what you want. You can name him. I don't know who he is. He didn't come here. So I don't know if it's a real thing. You may, I mean,
so yeah, I mean, we've talked about Williams Grove and Lincoln. Talked a little bit about Ohio Speed Week. Just looking at the schedule here, you got Ohio Speed Week basically right off the back of the Central PA trip here. From the 13th to the 21st, you guys are every night in Ohio. And then you're going to State Line and Latrobe on around the 4th of July. You got a couple races throughout August.
You
and the
skipped
beginning of
Mercer.
September. I
You
did.
skipped Mercer.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, Mercer's right before State Line. I'm sorry.
Michael's Mercer.
Michael's Mercer Raceway.
We have no off weekend in the month of June.
The
No,
weirdest
no.
name in racing.
June, and it looks like almost August as well, pretty much. So just what are some races that you're looking forward to on the schedule? Granted, Mother Nature plays nice.
Ohio Speed Week, it's going to be long, and I'm going to piss everyone off by saying this. It is the better Speed Week. 9 races, 9 different tracks. I'm going to put that there real quick.
I am envious of that.
But
I'll
it's going to be. We
No,
go
no.
from
Don't be
literally
envious of
one.
that. When 3 of them are shit and they shouldn't be on the schedule, don't be envious of that. What do you mean?
Which 3?
I don't know. Pick 3. It's Ohio.
You probably have not seen a race from half of the schedule.
Well, why would
Yeah,
I?
I was gonna say I
did a
never
real
heard
race in Pennsylvania.
when he said Moeller Raceway. I'm like, the hell?
First ever trip for the All-Stars tomorrow.
Yeah, I never even heard of that one. So
It doesn't even have walls. They can't afford to put walls up at the place, probably. Come on.
So
All right.
I do want to ask you too, for you as an announcer, having this gig, I'm very proud of you. I'm very happy for you. How's it going to be? You got Williams Grove coming up in Lincoln. You're going to be able to call shows there. You got Eldora during Ohio Speed Week. Some of these places, did you ever think that you would be calling races at some of these tracks?
No. the Grove, been on my bucket list. Lincoln, been on my bucket list. I mean, I've talked to Sean Browse and Wayne Harper in the matter of. Actually, Sean called me when I was in Disney 2 weeks ago, so I talked to Sean then, and then Wayne I just was on the phone with Saturday. I mean, I grew up going to the Grove in Lincoln. I mean, Sean's been at the Grove since I don't even know anymore. Wayne even said when I was born, he was doing it for 20 years when I was born. So now we're 40 years into his career.
Yep.
And I told him because me and him had the conversation. He's like, usually when series come in, I'm like, no, I'm checking this off my bucket list. You are calling this race with me. I'm like, that is no questions.
That'll be cool.
Eldora, literally the first ever trip I get to go to Eldora, I have to call a race. So it's like, it's surreal when this schedule came out. When Speed Week came out, I was like, Attica's going to be on Atomic, Fremont. Was not expecting Eldora to be back on the schedule for a Speed Week show. I'm excited for that. The trip to Michigan, 2 separate trips to Michigan in August. The Indiana swing is going to be fun. I know there's a couple, because USAC has off except for Silver Crown. Silver Crown runs at Springfield that weekend. So I know like Joey Amanti is running his 410 wing. His first race will be at Wayne County. As of right now, this is what he told me was Wayne County. He'll be at that Tuesday. I think we're at Wayne County, and then he'll be at the Indiana swing.
Yep.
I mean, Wayne's Field's going to be fun. State Line is going to be, again, State Line was one of those racetracks that was on the original All-Star schedule. Same with the Grove. I will say Freedom is going to be a chaotic show, and it's a small 3/8 mile, I think it is. Bull Ring.
That's in September.
I know the Empire Super Sprints are off that night we're running, but they race the following night. So I'm intrigued to see who we get from that series showing up. Same with the State Line Latrobe weekend, because that's during PA Speed Week.
Yes.
And I feel like there's a handful of guys that have contemplated it that, might not make the show at PA Speed Week, that might go out $10,000 to win at State Line, $7,500 to win at Latrobe. So it's going to be 2 racetracks with really good payouts, especially I think it's one of the higher payout races for some of those regions. Mercer's always fun. Another smaller, but we don't really have we have 3 big racetracks on the schedule when it comes down to it, and that's Eldora, the Grove, and Latrobe. Everything else is bull ring racing, and like Bobby said, Bobby only has 1 motor. There's a handful of guys that have 1 or 2 motors. Yeah, you can blow a motor on a small track, but it's less wear and tear on a motor than if you're running, the Grove, Port Royal, Eldora, going out and running some of these bigger tracks like Lawrenceburg in Indiana. If you're running all these big races, you're not going to get these guys that have 1, 2, maybe 3 motors if you're lucky. And then we go from 14, 13 full-time guys to maybe 5 that have the motors to run all these half miles.
Right.
And you get a lot of names out there like, Wayne's Field we've heard of. Now it's under new promotion group because Rich Farmer's doing that, as well as Fremont. Freedom we've never been to. Most people didn't even know where Freedom was. I'm going to give Chase Rodman some crap because Chase said he said it was in PA, and I'm like, Freedom is definitely not in PA.
Where is that at, actually?
So I want to
New York. It's in New York.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in real quick. Number 1, Moeller Speedway, Moler, has both walls and a catch fence. That's winning. Number 2, Latrobe Speedway is famous for one night. 7 410 sprint cars showed up, and your winner in 2022 was Jordan Givler.
I remember that.
August of 2022, Jordan Givler beat Dan Shetler, AJ Flick, Cody Bofladies Nuts, Jeremy Hill, Leighton Wagner, and Michael Bauer.
You think about it too. Western PA
410 winner Jordan Givler.
Western PA is basically, let's be honest, run by AJ Flick. So
guess what? He finished third that night with 7 cars, Alex.
I'm getting there. Can you settle down?
No, I will not, sir. Go ahead.
For Givler to go out there, I know he joked about it. I want to know if he'll actually do it and show up. But Givler going 2 for 2 and having a 410 win as an all-star would be. I don't want to show favoritism, but I'd be happy to see Givler win it and win an all-star race, especially there.
Hell yeah.
But I feel like there's, besides from, the normal guys like Cap Henry and Central PA guys, there's a lot of guys that are running the All-Stars that are going to run Ohio Speed Week or the Indiana Swing that do not have an all-star win. Heck, we talk about Devin Borden and how many wins he had at Port Royal. Devin doesn't have an all-star win.
DK confirms. They are
Well,
going
Devin didn't race in
pro.
PA when the All-Stars were around a whole lot. Let's be honest.
What was it, 2-3 years?
And they were here, what, a couple times? The last year, they didn't want to come to PA, so they didn't get their money stolen.
But, I mean, you got to think
Well,
before
okay,
we...
we'll know that. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we will. Upsets can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now Jay-Z made me lose my train of thought for a second there.
Nobody's won All-Star races yet, and you're hoping that they get one someday.
I mean, Caleb has 1. Van Gurley has 2.
Yeah.
Greg Wilson has I don't know how many anymore.
Yeah,
he has 2 championships with him.
I got to be honest with you. We were talking about Greg Wilson earlier, and if somehow on some plane of existence that Williams Grove is slicked off and Greg Wilson catfishes for a win, I'm going to be so hyped. That would be so hype. If somehow I watch that dude catfish to a win at Williams Grove on a slicked off one. Now, we haven't seen that, but I'm here for every bit of it. I got to be honest. I'm a fan. I'll be here for it.
And I do know the 69K is planning on being at both shows. I got that text as soon as the schedule got released that they were going to be at both shows.
Which ones?
Williams
Grove and Lincoln.
Oh, wait. Does Port run Saturday?
Yeah.
So Ryan Smith will be in the 69K at Lincoln?
That's what I've heard. That might have changed, but that was the original plan.
Interesting. I'm here for it. I'd like to see him rip around. Like, they've had a couple chances this year already, and just mechanical weird shit happen. It would be neat to see the 69K win at Lincoln again. It's been a minute, and I'm here for it. That would be cool as hell.
And let's put those numbers together for a second. The 69K has multiple All-Star wins. Sure. Ryan Smith, I think, might have 1 or 2, maybe a few more than that. They've never won an All-Star race with those forces combined.
Yeah.
I mean, the 69K will come to what? 3 different drivers if they win this weekend. 3 different drivers winning an All-Star race and with the same car. Not bad numbers. I mean, there's one person I'm intrigued to watch if he shows up, and that's Nash Healy. He's looked good this year, and his dad ran the All-Stars.
By the way, he didn't have a 410 until 2 weeks ago and went quick time his first night out in it. He was quick at Port Royal Saturday. I got to get a hold of Nash and figure out where the hell he got a 410 from, because it's a monster, apparently, because 2 weeks in a row, he's running up front in a 410. Didn't run one since last fall. He was a 358 start the year. Crazy.
You know what? Because I see Matt's comment, and I'm gonna have the camper at the Grove in Lincoln this weekend. I'll put a. I don't know where you're gonna be, but I'll put a bush apple on that one.
Okay.
You think an All-Star? Wait.
Matt says, sorry to say, even though the series does have drivers that have laps in Central PA, but it's going to be a posse sweep.
Yeah.
So
Alex, I love you, but yeah.
I'm confident. I'll put a bush apple on it.
On what?
On that the All-Star's going to win. Yeah.
An All-Star will win one of these 2 nights?
Yes.
Ugh.
Jay-Z, you're more than welcome to take this bet too and come to the camper and have one afterwards.
I don't know if they get a top 5.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
That's bold.
We'll see.
I've done it the opposite. I didn't think the posse would win an outlaw race this year or a high limit race. I said it. I'd do the opposite. I'm just trying to be. Listen, I'm not guessing car counts anymore, but I'll guess this. I don't know if there's a top 5.
Now, if there's another driver who shocked some people winning at the Grove a few weeks ago, that would be also cool to see him win his first All-Star race is Cameron Smith.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
talk about him a little bit later when we get to Port, which we do need to start getting through some of our other stuff.
I don't want to do this all night, Alex. But
Yeah.
wait, Cap Henry's a full-time All-Star, right?
No,
Or no? No.
No.
Is he? Where's he going this weekend? Running his normal shit?
probably getting ready for Ohio Speed Week. Probably.
Because
Yeah.
like at Lincoln, I could see Cap Henry putting up a fight at Lincoln. Not that he can at Williams Grove, but man, if he was at Lincoln, I could see him time trialing well enough to really put up a fight like Cale, I think, could at both places. I think both of those guys could, I think
Cale is a
Devin,
big reason why I say I think they'll get top 5, or
yeah,
you'll have a guy compete for a win here.
top 5 swept out of the top 5 is a bold take on my end, but it could just as easily happen. Somebody like Cale, Caleb Henry, some of these guys you're expecting to be sort of front runners in that series don't time trial well. It's gonna be hard to pass cars.
Yep.
There's a lot of good cars gonna be in front of them. So, it does come down to time trials and the draw and the track and everything, but it could just as easily swing in the bad way. And we've been on the other end of it as posse guys racing against high limit outlaw guys.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, all right, let's go.
So, yeah, excited to see you guys with the All-Stars come into town here. It's going to be interesting. You guys do have a really good roster, a nice roster coming in that'll help really boost car counts here, and it should be a good weekend. We're going to move on here. Let's preview the rest of the weekend here in Central PA and beyond. Sealands Grove, like we said, is also running on Friday night, the Kramer Cup. They have 410 sprints. URC will also be there with the 358, 360 challenge, and USAC East Coast. So 3 sprint car divisions there at Sealands Grove. It's $5,073 to win the 410s, $3,073 to win URC, and then there's a $2,500 bonus for anybody who does double duty to win both. So you could walk away, if there's some guys out there with a 360, might be able to walk away with 11 grand Friday night at Sealands Grove, just about. And then you got USAC, that's also I think 1573 or something like that to win. So be interesting. I think with the All-Stars coming in, I think that bodes well for both tracks. I think you'll see full fields at both, to be honest. But we'll see. And then Saturday is the start. Port Royal will have 410 sprints along with super late models as they visit for Appalachian Mountain Super Late Model Speed Week, which starts on Friday at Clinton County. So they'll be at Port Royal. And then Sunday, BAPS, 410, and the Super Sportsman. So you got a packed weekend here of just sprint car racing here in Central PA. Alex, do you think any of you guys are going to be going to BAPS on Sunday?
It's tough.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
you guys
know
got to go back
a lot of
for
them didn't
Ohio
have it
Speed
on
Week.
their schedule, and I don't think so. I do know I've heard rumblings about July 4th weekend after Latrobe, guys going to Path. I heard, I think, 3 or 4 guys were talking about going to Path Valley to run that Sunday show for the end of Speed Week. But yeah, I don't think anyone's going to. As far as I know, a lot of them didn't have it on their radar to go to Babs just because of Speed Week coming up.
Yeah, you start Speed Week the next week, so you got a lot of prep to do. So but it would be interesting to see if any of them show up. Especially if there's rainouts or something like that. Hopefully there isn't. Fingers crossed. Also this week you have Super Dirt Car Series here in PA. Big Diamond tomorrow night. Sealands Grove on Wednesday night. So Sealands Grove with 2 big races this week. Those will be on Dirt Vision. And then, like I said, Appalachian Mountain Speed Week, late models start this week. Clinton County Friday, Port Royal Saturday, Hagerstown on Sunday. They go to Path Valley on Tuesday. Then next Thursday, they go to Sealands Grove, then Bedford, Lincoln next Saturday, and Bridgeport to close it out. Almost a $30,000 point fund. Your champion last year was Greg Satterley. $5,000 to win each event. Looking at the weather here, and it's been the same weather pattern for 3 months. I swear to God, it just is going to be a little bit warmer, where you have a chance of rain on Friday. Depends on the timing. Goes away by Saturday afternoon. You may, depending on how much rain you get, you might be able to get Saturday in. And then Sunday looks beautiful. It looks absolutely gorgeous. No chance of rain. It looks like just very spotty showers, maybe a thunderstorm. So it's definitely possible to get all 3 days in for sure. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed and I'm staying optimistic. But I'm so sick and tired of seeing rain on the forecast for Friday and Saturdays right now. It's very annoying.
Sorry, Tyler.
Sorry,
wait,
Tyler. Yeah.
wait. I gotta shout him out because also I gotta shout out Baps because of it. Wednesday night, York Revolution baseball game. First 500 fans get a
Yes.
free ticket to Baps for
500.
any race.
Yeah.
I will be there
500.
with Tyler for the All-Star races this weekend and Williams Grove. So that'll be fun. I mean, it's also Bark in the Park night there. So Wednesday night at York, again, free tickets to
Yeah.
Baps. I don't know why you would miss.
Yeah.
Alex, did you answer? And you were talking about this earlier, and I zoned out for a minute looking at my phone. How's the announcing going this weekend at Williams Grove and Lincoln and sharing? Or is it all you? You're going to be all sprint cars. How are you going to handle that?
I'm sharing it, 100% sharing it. I've always lived on it of, yeah, Johnny does it by himself, but also Johnny has 40, 50 years, it feels like, of experience and has earned the right to do it himself. There's the bear that ate Cale.
Thought that was here.
Tyler says the All-Star check and trophy will be on hand with them at Bark in the Park night, which your dog thinks is 2 nights early. So,
but darn it! Now I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
And you're sharing the booth with both guys.
Oh
Sharing
yeah.
the booth, yes.
Again, Johnny and I would even say Blake earned the right. All these guys that have been doing it a lot longer than me earn the right to do it by himself. I would rather not do it by myself. I would rather 100% share the mic, especially at the Grove with how big of a racetrack it is. You can't follow everything by yourself unless you've done it 40 times.
Bet.
So it's
Right.
like I grew up listening to Sean. I grew up, listening to Wayne. It was a bucket list thing to just announce there, but now, lucky enough, I got to do it before Wayne ever retires. Sadly, I couldn't do it when Bruce was still there, but Sean's been there, it feels like, for 10, 15 years still.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been around a long time. But yeah, weather this weekend. Hopefully, any storms that do hit are early and small, or don't hit at all. It's only 40% chance on Friday, 60 or so percent chance on Saturday, and it looks very clear Saturday night. So I'm going 88% that we get all 3 days in. It's just you might have to deal with the delay here and there. Moving on here to the rest of the schedule. There's so much racing going on here. I mean, we pretty much have racing here all week, starting tomorrow. If you want to go see a race in PA, there's going to be racing on Flow and Dirt Vision as well. High Limit tomorrow night. 141 Speedway in Wisconsin. The Race Routine race, 26 grand to win, is tomorrow night, and then Wednesday Red Cedar Speedway also in Wisconsin. And then you got the World of Outlaws. They got 4 races this weekend. They're also racing on Wednesday night at Jackson Motorplex, and then a 3-day stint in Wisconsin, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Plymouth, Beaver Dam, and Angel Park Speedway for the World of Outlaws. So I wouldn't doubt if you see maybe a couple World of Outlaw guys hit up the Race Routine race tomorrow night. They're going to be in the area-ish, and it's $26,000 to win. So maybe they hit that. It is funny that they both scheduled a Wednesday night race over top of each other of all nights to do that, but that's how this thing has been going. But lots and lots of racing, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, you have Late Model Speed Week, then you're gonna have Ohio Speed Week next week. You got USAC Eastern Storm, and then you got PA Speed Week. So ton on top of just regular shows and everything else. So lots of stuff going on.
Can you go back one screen to
I
the
can.
high limit?
Yep.
So the first one is that 141 Speedway
Mhm.
Tuesday. PM thunderstorms, 56% chance of PM thunderstorms. Okay.
Okay.
Then what's that one called? Red
Red
Cedar.
Cedar Speedway.
Got to find out the town here. I'm going to look that up. Go ahead and keep going. I'll come back and check out the weather forecast for that.
So there's a chance. Go ahead.
Menominee, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's what sounds right. But
Wisconsin. All right, so they're 10-day in whatever that says, Wednesday, right?
yes, Wednesday.
77 sunny with an 11% chance of rain.
There you
So that
go.
looks pretty good.
That looks pretty
Tuesday,
good.
keep
We'll
an
get
eye
that
out
up.
on the weather for Tuesday. But that means on Wednesday, that means that high limit outlaws will probably have great weather, and then you got to decide what you're going to watch.
Yeah,
so
right.
that's
You'd
probably
be
how that
double
works.
screening it on a Wednesday night. Going to be double
On
screening
a
it.
Wednesday, yeah, exactly.
So it's a beautiful time of year, though. When it gets to this point, it's like
Oh.
you really between now and like the end of August, it's almost like you got every night you have something to watch, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. Hopefully, Mother Nature can continue to cooperate.
There's one more thing.
I'm thinking
that's
if it just
going
rains,
on.
if it rains in PA from here down, we'll just watch all this on TV.
Yeah, right.
We
Pretty much.
need to race around here. I'll just watch this. What do you think about that, Tyler? Tyler Murray still around? We'll just cancel the season, right?
Cancel the season.
We'll just watch High Limit and Outlaws the rest of the year. I'm in.
What were you gonna say, Alex?
There's another speed week we keep forgetting. Actually, there's 2 speed weeks coming up that we forgot.
Well, Midget Week is this week, but we don't talk about those.
Midget week we do.
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
Indiana Midget Week. Yep.
For some of those guys, they're going Midget Week to Eastern Storm Week, which I never understood why they go back-to-back weeks on that one.
Well, there's only so many weeks to have them, but yeah.
Yeah.
But then we go what? Then a few weeks later, it's Indiana Sprint Week coming up too.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
that
usually.
chaos.
Oh
That's
no.
right. Isn't that
That's
right?
after
That's
PA, right?
after Eastern Storm, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's bucket list for me. That week, that Indiana Sprint Week, that's bucket list for me, man. I want to go shoot and watch and do that whole thing. That's
Badass
bucket
out
list
there.
someday. Yeah.
So lots of racing. Hopefully, Mother Nature cooperates, like I said. Let's get into this past weekend where Mother Nature didn't cooperate. We got Port Royal in though on Saturday night. It was May 31st. I was in 2 hoodies. I was in layers on May 31st. It was insane, but they got it in. It wasn't awful. The rain held off. Track turned out awesome. Had over 100 cars in the pit area between 410s. You had USAC East Coast, and you had 305s, which I really like what they did with the 305s, but I'll talk about that in a little bit here soon. But Chase Dietz finally knocks off his first win at the Speed Palace, coming from 5th over Michael Walter and Devin Adams. Devin Adams looked freaking awesome in this feature. Chase Dietz, Devin Adams, Freddie Raymer, Robbie Kendall all won heat races. Lance DeWeese it was like 9th from the B main up to 10th in the A main. Dude, he would have won. No disrespect to anybody else or Chase Dietz, but he looked like the fastest car early in the night. He qualified really well. He was in turns 3 and 4, coming to the checkered flag in the heat. He was going to win his heat, put himself up in that redraw, and blew a tire. And that's why he had to go back into the B main. And he was on it. He put the qualifying wing on for the B and the A main, and he was so much fun to watch. It was a great feature. There was a nice cluster between Chase, Michael Walter, Devin Adams, Whittle, and Zierfoss got involved there late up in the top 5, and then there was another gaggle of cars where Danny Dietrich got in there, Freddie Raymer, you had Lance, Nash Ely he finishes 8th here, looked awesome and held his own. Robbie Kendall fell back a little bit, but he was up in there. Really, really awesome race. Green to checkered. Justin Whittle got out to a lead here. I thought he was going to win. I called it actually before. I was with Matt Bird in the infield, and I said Lance is going to get into the top 10, and Justin Whittle's going to get the win. And then they kind of got to the back of lap traffic, which they couldn't get around because they're also battling and were fast enough still. and it really just kind of created these little pockets of battles throughout the field, and that kind of opened the door up. Devin Adams ended up getting to the lead at one point. Like the lead changed a couple times, but eventually at the end, Chase Dietz comes up and wins. And like Dave Scott Smelter said here, he dropped back to 8th at one point, drove back up to the win. So um, it was a really, for how cold and how wet everything was, the track turned out awesome. It was a really racy feature. And very glad that I went and saw some great action. You guys have any thoughts on Ports?
No, I didn't see a lap of this. I'm actually just pulled flow up. I'm gonna go back and watch the feature.
It was awesome.
I heard Chase won. I was at Baps. I couldn't get any signal. I don't know what crater I was in over, but I couldn't get anything to work. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. But the Chase won. That's the story. Like,
Yes.
and I'm not downplaying, Michael Walter with another podium. Devin Adams, right? We
Yep.
saw Garrett Bard almost win a race. We see Devin Adams almost winning a race. My buddy Kyle Keene had a great time trial effort. Think he finally solved some steering issues. Had great speed. There's a lot of good storylines here, but at the end of the day, Chase finally won a race at Port Royal.
Yes.
Like, that's cool. Good for him.
And I think it's just kind of one of those things where it's a possibility of just opening a lid, because it's not just his first win at Port Royal. It's kind of his first, like, he had so many second place finishes this year. You just feel like once he gets in the victory lane, it could really roll here. And then somebody who said this earlier. He's doing double Friday night for the 360 and the 410. He's a guy I could totally see winning both of those features. You know what I mean? He's very good at Selinsgrove, and he's on a roll right now. So we'll see.
I knew Dietrich, there was room. Didn't Dietrich say originally he was going to run both?
Yes, it sounded that way, but I know he's running Selinsgrove. I just don't know if he's running both divisions.
He had a 360, trying to sell the 360.
He's still
Maybe
selling
he runs it. Don't know. Haven't heard.
We'll see.
Probably
Guess
could
we'll
ask,
find out.
but guess we'll find
He's
out.
he's definitely going to be at Selinsgrove, though. He'll be running 410s. That's at least as of now. Actually, him and Jake Karkland had a really fun battle in one of the heat races, and Jake held him off, but I don't think Danny was exactly happy with him. But it was good hard racing. It was a lot of good hard racing throughout the entire night. I was really surprised how racy it was for the conditions. So shout out to Port Royal for getting it in and putting on a show. Other winners. Oh, let's go to the point standings, because it really changed here from the last time we went over them. Justin Whittle is now in the points lead by 40 points, which is tied with, for second, 40 points behind between Lance DeWeese and Brock Zierfoss. So tie there, and then you got Logan Wagner, 90 points back, and then it's a bigger drop-off to Jeff Halligan, Gerard McIntyre, Danny Dietrich, Anthony Macri, Michael Walter, and Ryan Smith. It's becoming a 4-race battle. I guess it'll depend on if all these guys run all the races, but we'll see. Lance being there in second at this point in the year, it would be so cool to see him win a track title here. It would be, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting down to the end. And there you go. Tyler just said LD charging towards another track championship at Port. And if he does, this past Saturday is the reason why. Going from that B main, charging up into the top 10, it was such a masterclass of driving from him. It was awesome. So that would be, if that does happen, go back May 31st. That's the reason why it happened. That's what saved it. Other winners, Timmy Bittner wins so the 305s. They had 50 cars there. They split into 2 features instead of doing a B main. They did 2 features. I think that's smart. They're doing that a couple times this year, and I think with the amount of 305s that they get, I think this is the smart thing to do. You get everybody gets laps. Instead of doing a B main and send a bunch of people home, you just you're having a 25 car B main anyway, so just run 2 A's. And that's what they did. He also won the 305 feature at PPMS earlier in the week. And then Cruz Kepner wins the second 305 feature. Steven Dravicki wins the USAC East Coast feature, holds off at an. I didn't even know he was going to be there. They had 19 cars there. So some surprises. Cam Smith was one of them, and he looked awesome. He ran second. Or did he fall back to third? But he ran second most of the race, and he was catching Steven. He looked awesome, and I know. It ended up being a really, really good race. USAC always puts out a good race there. Got me jacked up for when Eastern Storm comes in a couple weeks, where they'll have the sprint cars to Silver Crown and Wing 410s, and excited to see USAC East Coast possibly this Friday too at Selinsgrove. But shout out to Cam Smith and obviously Dravicki with the win here. He's very good there, but Cam Smith really surprised. Yeah, Kenny Miller got second, I think, at the end. Thank you.
The only question I have for USAC East Coast, do we return to the dominance of Steven Dravicki?
I don't know, because Christian Bruno was right there. Kenny Miller's been very good.
Miller,
yeah, they do have some guys, you know what I mean? And it's good because then, it's already developed. I was a little concerned because my race pass only had 8 cars signed in.
Yeah. And then I saw there were 2 heats of 8 cars each, and I'm like, what happened?
That doesn't. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess maybe a mistake with my race pass, but once I went in the pits and saw, hey, they have way more cars here. Thank God, because I'm like, if you only get 8 cars at Port Royal, which is a track that always gets their highest car counts, they're in trouble. But they actually had some new, fresh faces come in. Olivia Thayer made a start.
Dirk Rimrod and Olivia Thayer.
Yeah, and you had Troy Fraker. You know what I mean? Like you had it, and it put on good racing throughout the field, and it's just good to see more people take the wing off. To be honest, and try it out. I think it's great.
Is Justin Whittle still watching this? I doubt it. But this guy has half a straightaway lead on Devin Adams with 13 to go and doesn't win this race. Come on, Justin.
So Derek Halk and Kyle Keene are battling at the back of the pack there, and once the leaders caught them, they couldn't get around. So it was just kind of, and it allowed that top 5 to really group up.
That's momentum, right? He just lost his momentum 1 and 2, and Devin Adams is on him like that.
Yep,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a great
chasing third within a lap. He was 5th to 3rd. Devin Adams takes the lead back in the next corner. He lost his momentum for 3/4 of a lap after 1 corner.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Justin, get good. Figure it out, bud.
Other winners from that we already we talked a little bit about Butler. We already talked about it with Bobby Elliott when he was on. But Justin Peck wins this race. He's on a roll right now. And actually the points now, because of that DQ, I don't have a graphic, but Tyler Courtney is up 6 points over Brad Sweet. And then about 30 points up on Rico Abreu. 45 points up on Brent Marks. Aaron Reitzel and Justin Peck, they're all within 100 points of the lead. And then it's a big drop off to Casey Kane, Tanner Thorson, Spencer Baston, and Chase Randall. But that top 6 now, Justin Peck has now thrown his hat in the ring here of being a championship contender. With this, it was a little spotty early in the season, showed some speed, a little inconsistency, but he's been very consistent the past few weeks, knocking off some wins. Should have had another. So looking like we have possibly 6 guys here that can compete for this title, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's cool to see Justin Peck getting wins and run up front, doing what we all waited for 4 years for, and we've all could see it. Man, it's cool to see him run up front and winning races. So pretty awesome.
Randy Kopp said, didn't Steven Snyder win somewhere this weekend? He did. He won yesterday at Tri-City. The 2 races that, unfortunately, that Western PA Speedway got in. Who won
was a good one.
Yeah.
Was a good one.
And Brandon Spithaller, I think.
Spithaller won. Yeah.
He won the PPMS.
So the weird thing is Snyder with that win came 8 points from winning Western PA Speed Week, which I think would have been really cool for his first ever 410 sprint car win to also wrap up a very brief Western PA Speed Week. But you got to think about for him to come second in points after going out and running midgets, I think 2 or 3 nights out of that speed week. I mean, rain blessed him up, and he got it. Also, I got a text because apparently they don't want to comment it. Linton Jeffries 39, you guys might know. Is that a John Trone car?
Yeah.
No, it's
Or
sponsored. It is sponsored by
sponsored.
John
Okay.
Trone. And actually, John Trone was just at a deep dive with Jeremy Elliott. I listened to it this weekend. Go listen to that. It tells you a little bit more about that. They're friends. Obviously Linton has driven that car. That is a Trone sponsored race car. That is not a Trone car.
Just
That is
random 39s.
Linton's car. Yeah.
Yes, Mandy and Mandy and Randy in the chat kind of reminded me here. Lucas Wolf went out to Knoxville, so did Macri, so did TJ Stutz. You usually see some of our guys, and I'm assuming it's because Todd Schaefer and Don Ott got into the Hall of Fame this past weekend.
Don't forget Davy Brown Jr.
And Davy Brown Jr., of course. But you saw some of our guys out there. Lucas Wolf making that trip out. Made the 8 main on Saturday at Knoxville. Macri and Stutz. I'd have to go back and look at the results. I didn't look exactly where they all finished, but Ryan Timms basically he swept the 360 and the 410s at Knoxville. Then won at Houston yesterday. He's on a roll right now.
Ryan Timms, you watch out for a 360 410 Nationals run this year. Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. He is on it. So that's where some of our guys were this past weekend. And then closing out here, World of Outlaws were at Red River Valley Speedway in West Fargo, North Dakota. Friday night, Buddy Kofoid gets the win. And then Saturday night, EJ, always in our chat, shouting out Sheldon Hodenshield. He got the win there on Saturday night. So good for them. David Gravel, though, I think he was second. Was he second both nights? He was on the podium both nights. So he's just.
I think the top 3 was Sheldon and Donnie were both second and third, or flip flop second, third both nights.
So,
in all honesty, that outlaw points race
is over.
Drivers need to start winning and hoping Gravel.
I really thought it was good.
Blows a motor or something, because that's the only way this points battle comes anywhere close.
There'll be a points battle from 2nd to 5th, 6th. But I mean, Gravel already has a 188-point lead, and Buddy Kofoid's 2nd. Logan Schuhart's 3rd, Carson Macedo, Sheldon Hodenshield, and Donnie Schatz, your top 6. But Donnie Schatz has 350 points back in 6th. So just with how consistent David Gravel has been, I don't see anybody catching him. But it'll be interesting the rest of the way, and you still have that rookie battle too. The rookies have been really impressive, all of them, to be honest. And that'll be exciting. I think that'll probably be the most exciting battle probably for them. But either way, it makes all their races entertaining, and just probably something to keep in mind is just you're seeing greatness out of David Gravel is what you're seeing right now, and to recognize it and respect it as it's happening, because I don't think people did that, necessarily Brad Sweet when he was doing it, and Donnie Schatz, you know what I mean? People don't really realize it until it's over. So Outlaws have 4 races this week. Anything can happen. Yeah, they have a lot of races left to go, but
Gravel could win 4 races this week. You're
exactly.
Right. But now this outlaw swing gets interesting for after this weekend, the next 2 weeks, because High Limit's off.
Yes, High Limit will be off,
and there's been rumblings of is anyone going to come run Ohio Speed Week from High Limit? I doubt it. Maybe a Cy Lynch. Maybe Danny Sams, because let's think, Danny Sams, basically his coming out party last year was Ohio. I know he's not going to, Jay-Z, but I'm saying
they don't have enough equipment. They're barely making it on High Limit right now.
But someone like maybe Cy Lynch, because it's close to home.
Sure. Potentially he'll be home, right? So they have the freedom. That could make sense.
That might be. I think a lot of guys are going to go to Houston and Knoxville, though.
Yeah, you got some big races coming, and the High Limit schedule is very weird right now. So you got a Tuesday, Wednesday show this week, Nothing this weekend. Tuesday at Eagle next week. Then they're off till the 25th. So, like you said, wouldn't doubt if a lot of them go to Ohio. Some might come out here. You know what I mean? Maybe, or they go to probably Knoxville, start getting ready for that. And then they have just a week. They just have 1 weekend there at the end of June. Lake Ozark and double Friday, Saturday at Lucas Oil Speedway. And then they're off again until July 11th. And that's, yeah, and that leads into Keys Royal. So very spotty schedule from High Limit. So you're going to see those guys go all over the place. Ohio Speed Week, Knoxville, maybe Central PA, maybe some other places. So it should be interesting. Outlaws are also off the entire second half of PA Speed Week later this month. And that's true, too, because we saw Logan come in last year. With them getting so many rainouts, maybe they give him a pass again. They gave him a pass for Huset's on Sunday because he had Cole Macedo and who else ran? There was another one that ran. Hunter Schoenberg. And then the week before, you had Buddy and Garrett Williamson come out to Williams Grove, and they got passes for that didn't count against them. So I like that the Outlaws are doing that personally. With how many, this is how they make money. You know what I mean? And if you get 15 rainouts before June, or whatever it is at this point, it probably is something close to that. Yeah, let them go race. So that'll be it for us this week. Let's finish it off with Drink It and Dump It. Alex, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I have one more thing because Ohio Speedway's coming up, and I love what we're doing. We're having a send-off. Chaluk's Bar and Grill in Ohio is doing a Speed Week send-off. I will have my camper. We will have our camper Friday and Saturday this week. They got a lot of cases of water and Gatorade already, but if you ever want to donate to a race team, they're looking for stuff, non-perishable snacks, Windex, food gift cards for restaurants, AAA and 9V batteries, WD-40, brake cleaner, Gorilla duct tape, rolls of quarters for car washes, maybe some donations for like gas, lodging, pit passes, Fast Orange, gloves, hand sanitizers, disinfectant wipes, and tubbo towels, like stuff that these guys can use throughout the week. Because let's be honest, anyone in PA knows how grueling Pennsylvania Speed Week is. Eastern Storm, it's all the same. They're all grueling for everyone involved. Like a few years ago, there was an all-star staffer who got exhausted. Crew guys are getting exhausted. Anything, we'll put in our camper. We'll take it out for anyone who wants to pitch in to these drivers. I know Jacob Allen's car's coming out, or at least that's what the schedule still says, is they're going out. Danny's coming out. He's running Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm pretty sure, in PA. And then he's going out to Ohio Speed Week Monday through the rest of the week.
Right.
So, there's Central PA guys coming out. Steven Snyder Jr., who's in that other Hefner car, he's running Ohio Speed Week. So there's some Central PA guys. These donations help these guys a lot. Like,
absolutely,
it's a 9 days. You heard Bobby even say it. For smaller teams, 9 days is a lot of racing and a lot of traveling too.
We do. We know there's a lot of groups that we did it, donated 1 year. There's people that put together these care packages for these teams that run the whole thing, because it's grueling. Just cases of water, stuff like that. Just basic necessities that really help and go a long way for these teams. Anything to help them out, get through that whole week. So, where's that again, Alex?
That'll be at Chaluk's Bar and Grill in it's either Fremont or Attica, Ohio.
Is there anywhere 100%. Where, if there's anywhere where people can donate, maybe like?
Friday, Saturday, we'll grab everything and anything. If you come to the Grover Lincoln, this Wednesday is a hit and miss depending on how long I stay at York. I might go to Kutztown. I'll be at Kutztown next Wednesday, and I know there's a lot of people that go to Kutztown.
So people are going to follow you around the country, wondering where you're at. So social media can hit you up on Facebook,
yes,
X, Instagram. You got all the accounts. Whether it's High Limit or Alex Robinson, try to track you down and get you donated stuff.
All-Stars.
Excuse you?
The All-Stars.
What did I say?
You said High Limit.
Yeah, All-Stars. Same shit. Same shit, different losers.
I'm gonna hold you to that. I swear, if one of our guys
I was
pulls the
gonna-
upset of a century, Jay-Z,
I can't wait to see you this weekend, Alex. It's been
I
too
say,
long.
I say, if the All Stars win, if an All Star gets a win, Shuey.
yes.
Okay. If
But
an
if-
All-Star wins one of these,
Yeah,
all right.
I'll join you. I'll do one with you.
All
But if Posse wins,
You
Alex
come to the
wants to do
camper and have
Shuey.
a beer. I already bet Bush apples on the table.
Okay, that's true. That's fair. But that's how confident we are. Posse's going to take care of business.
Drink it or dump it. Let's go. Because I
Drink it or
have
dump
it.
I do want to just address one thing from Santos. Just going back to the outlaw thing. It's not a
Yeah.
pass. The Grove is exempt for the 4 races because I think they
It's
still
not
had to get a pass. It was not a pass. It was a pass because they were scheduled to race that night.
I think
Yeah,
I think the
I had-
technical was it was waived.
Yes.
Correct. And here's I had to go look this up, and I copied and pasted from an article because this is not real public on what these rules really are. If an outlaw race is rained out, they can get an approval to go race somewhere else, and it will not count against the 4. If they ask for approval to go race somewhere else and they say, nope, you're not approved, and they go do it, it counts. But they can go only on a rain out. This night they were gonna race, so when they left Ohio and came to Williams Grove last week, those did not count against the 4. Not because it's an outlaw track,
Right.
because there was a rain out. And I couldn't find that anywhere officially stated in the rule books. I had to go find it from a Justin Fiedler article talking to outlaw people on how that really works. And it only exempts them from the 4 race rule if they get prior approval from a rain out.
Right.
That's all I could find.
So they can these guys can run there's a possibility they could run 8 races outside of the World of
They get
Outlaws.
approved. Correct.
But they could have 4 of them approved because it was a rain out or whatever. So
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a little confusing, but it actually makes sense when you think about it and you boil it down. It makes sense the way they do it.
We were talking about this in sort of a Discord chat today about, I was like, hey, listen, I don't have time to put the effort into this, but like, go back through the last 10 years and find out how many races have been rained out by percentage of races rained out from Volusia to June 1. And if there's a trend of the certain amount, and like that's kind of crazy, don't have a 4 race rule till June 1. That's my opinion on it. Let these guys go freaking race somewhere. Let them go make a living if they want to go make a living. Now,
and then you start getting into the summer, then you want them
put the 4 race
focused.
rule, June 1, you're going to get in the rhythm of it. And if you want to go step out and go try to win some money, and you could be they're not going to miss an outlaw race because of it. But if they want to go do, a high limit race here, a big race at Eldora there, wherever, then put your 4 race rule in. But from Volusia to June 1, don't let these guys stop them from making a living or have to get pre-permission. Now, if you want to go some sketchy ass racetrack and you end up getting yourself hurt and you're not going to now be a star on the Outlaw Tour because of it, you shouldn't be there. Okay, put some guardrails in, but let's be realistic and let these guys go race and make a living if they're going to get rained out. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was just something we were talking about today of going back and looking because, following the tour, they stopped going to California early. It rains. They do this, that rain. Look at high limit. Look at all of them everywhere, all over the country, from Volusia to June 1. It's a crapshoot, and they're stuck. And what are they going to do? Buy more hotel rooms, right? Give them a chance to go earn some money and just let them go, man. Let them go race. Anyway.
Agreed. So go ahead, drink it and dump it. You could go first. You.
Me. I'll drink it to Alex for being here. Appreciate you, brother. Give you a hard time. And I was already called a bully a couple times tonight. I'm bullying Alex because we've known Alex for a long time. But proud of you for getting this opportunity. Can't wait to hear you this weekend. And thrilled the All-Stars are back. Thrilled it's a real thing. Excited to see what the future brings for the series. Hopefully we all get to see the racing and y'all can get some racing going to show off what you've been working, all the work that's been put in over the winter and money invested to make this a thing for these drivers and these teams and the fans. So drink it to you, Alex. Appreciate you being here. And I will also dump it to you because you're about to get your ass kicked this weekend. So it's a pre-dump it to Alex and the All-Stars. They're going to tuck tail, head back to Ohio, and go race Ohio Speed Week. And hopefully y'all stay safe. Don't wreck your shit. Everybody makes it through Ohio Speed Week, that y'all can have a successful rest of the season. So you get both of them tonight, sir.
Go ahead, Alex.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome, my friend.
I see a handful of them, and I will definitely drink it to Tyler Walker back in a sprint car because,
Very cool.
I mean, I had 15 people at Lanco ask me if this was a true rumor, and I'm like, yeah, it's happening. I mean, I remember I was at the night the White Ford incident happened at the Grove and that chaos, and I mean, Tyler Walker was a animal, and I hope he returns to that. I hope he comes back to even if it's for one race. I hope he comes back to PA at least one more time before he actually officially hangs it up as a driver. I'm also going to drink it to Kutztown and all those drivers like Kenny Miller. We talked about Christian Bruno. They ran 3-4 times last week between. They ran at Pagoda, the motorcycle club there as an oval track. They ran Sunday there, ran Tuesday with the modifieds. Micros were running at Kutztown, and then to run USAC East Coast this weekend. So, big, and they ran well in every single one of them.
Yep.
Steven Snyder Jr. also gets a big drink because that's momentum for him before he goes out. He's running Ohio Speed Week, so big momentum swing for that team. Dump it. I will agree with everyone else. Dump it to Mother Nature because this has been awful. I'm kind of happy we took off the whole month of May because
you probably wouldn't get to get much in anyway.
I would have still been in Florida either which way at this point, and I would have been fine with it. I will also dump it to the Deer 600 sitting out in the garage right now that I have to fix because he decided to drive straight into a wall and flip it at Kutztown on Tuesday because the steering box shifted and couldn't turn, so he went head on into the wall. Dump it to that one because
that sucks.
Now it's more shit to fix. But you know what? Drink it to you guys. I've been here 4, 5.
Yeah.
I've lost count of how many times I've been on this darn show.
Now. But it's been a while. We haven't probably had you on in almost 2 years. So
since Bridgeport, since the live show at Bridgeport.
So yeah. I'm gonna pull a Mandy here, and I'm gonna do a bunch. I'm gonna drink it to you, Alex.
Bitch, you pussy. You can't just everything good that happened in the last week. Everything bad that happened. Mandy writes a damn storybook.
She does.
She got a chapter book of her drinking or dumping every week.
Settle down.
All right.
I'm gonna drink it to Alex. I'm gonna drink it to the All-Stars coming back. I think it's exciting, and I hope the weather holds off and we have a great weekend. I'm gonna drink it to Port Royal for getting their whole deal in. Lance DeWeese for being an absolute fucking animal. Chase Dietz for getting his first win, and I want to give a shout out to Cam Smith for looking awesome in a wingless car. I'm gonna dump it to weather. I'm going to dump it out for Williamsboro specifically. They're getting hammered with this. It's awful. I feel real bad for them. That's really it. That was it. I just had a long list to drink it to.
Listen, I'll take your multiple drink or dumps over. Chris is going, yeah, someone will win. I mean,
greatest quote I've ever heard.
At least you have an opinion. I appreciate that, Jimmy. Chris.
I want to drink it to Matt Bird. We hung out at Port Royal, had a good time. Both were like, yeah, man, these were good races. And shout out to Port for doing the military appreciation night. They did a really great job with that. Matthew Bird says, drink it to I'm finally going to play in the clay at 7 Stars Speedway, and I'll be at Lincoln on Saturday. Hopefully to get to talk to you, Alex. Definitely one hell of an interview tonight. Good time. Also, Port Royal Speedway on Saturday, getting their show in and dump it to damn you, Mother Nature. Good luck, Matt. I hope everything works out for you on Friday. Good luck out there. Randy says, drink it to Tyler Walker on the comeback and getting his life together. Dump it to the rain, 32 mile per hour. Wow, wind gust last Saturday in Hanover 2. And he also says, drink it to Alex for putting up with all of Jay-Z's shit tonight.
Can we ignore Tyler's drink it or dump it because I called Bridgeport and I really don't care about big block modifieds.
Oh, you did at one point. Hey, Mandy, drink it. All weekend winners, especially Dietz, Peck, and Ryan Timms. Tyler Walker back in a race car. Wolf making the A-main at Knoxville. The interviews tonight. I guess Brad Sweet getting DQ'd. I want to dump it to that because he did get jobbed, but I want to drink it to high limit for stick it to their guns, and stick it to the rule. Dump it, weather again. The rough wrecks, especially in the USAC featured, the Bacon and Leary one at Knoxville was pretty rough.
That was
And
gnarly.
yeah. And then the first lap wreck at Huset's that took out a bunch of cars. Shocker. Not at Huset's. Santos says, drink it to Cale for landing on his feet back in the 49X. If there was ever an all-star that I'd like to see win aside from Devin Borden, it'd be Cale. Top of the Mother Nature. Continuing to be a bitch as always. Honorable mention to you guys as always, putting on a badass show. Always appreciate you, Santos. Tyler Koenig, drink it. Seen some big blocks on Wednesday at Sealands Grove. Dump it to the rain. Would have loved to have raced at Lincoln on Saturday. Weather looks really good. I hope Big Diamond and Sealands Grove has good turnouts and everything for the big block modifieds coming into town.
This guy capitalized the B in big blocks, but not the L in Lincoln. Come on, man.
I do want to something I saw on Stuart Friesen's page. First 10 people at either Big Diamond or Sealands Grove that go spend $50 at his merch trailer will get free Pocono tickets. I think just for the truck race. Well, they're that Saturday or whatever, or Friday. I think they run Friday. So just saying, if you're there and you're a Stuart Friesen fan, you can go get some Pocono tickets if you're interested. Yeah, that's really it.
Jimmy, I got 3 things, or 4, because I got to do housekeeping too. So 4
Absolutely.
things. One, I feel bad because we definitely skipped over Randy's one question way back when it was about
where was that
announcing, and it was like right after Bobby left.
Man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find. There's a lot of comments here.
I know.
Was it
it's something about do you do anything special or different to help your voice?
Okay.
I mean, I went through like 4 bottles of water while we were here. A lot of cough drops, a lot of hot. I mean, you will literally see me take a backpack of probably water, cough drops, or there's originals, anything in that nature, up to a press box every race. Hot tea before. I will not drink hot tea afterwards, just because room temp water is the gift for during it. That's about it. I mean, you don't try and yell. It's hard when you're a race fan to not yell. And some announcers get a lot of crap for yelling in their microphone. But again, you got to think we're all announcers, but in the end of things, we're all race fans. That's what we are. If we make it sound, it could be a single file choo-choo train around the bottom. But if we make it sound exciting and you ain't watching the race, but you're just listening to us, guess what? You got your money's worth because we made it entertaining. We are in the entertainment business as announcers, and that's what we do. Also, heads up, driver changes. We know Cale's back in that car, which meant Trey Jacobs is out. Trey Jacobs is now in the Joe Sealing 97. That puts out Justin Clark. He is out of a ride. He is in his family car. Anyone who wants to help them, because they're hoping to come in still this weekend. And I know they're running Ohio Speed Week, so anyone that wants to help that family out with anything, they are greatly appreciated to it because they're a great family, great driver. I mean, kid went and made the Outlaw show, I think maybe 48 hours or something in that range after getting released from his car with his family car, makes the Outlaw A main. So, I mean, shout out to him.
Yeah.
Hold on, because I got to do my housekeeping or I'm going to get in deep trouble. So let me pull up my housekeeping list here.
While you're doing that, I do want to give a big shout out to Cale Thomas and Bobby Elliott for joining tonight last second. Very awesome of them to do that and come on and join us. So yeah, I just want to give another big shout out to them. Go ahead, Alex.
Big shout out to everyone that helps with the All-Star Circuit Champions. You know, Racing Electronics, MSP Camera Mounts, Diversified Machining Incorporated, CK Mechanical, CK Heating and Cooling, Hoosier Racing Tires, Saldana Oil Tanks and Fuel Tanks, owned by the legendary Joey Saldana. Truckworks of Ohio, Gates Corporation, Basil Race Fuels, All Pro Cylinder Heads, Adaptive One Caliper, Premier Planning Services, Capital Renegades, All-Star Performance. And then, of course, Napa Auto Parts, because they are the title sponsor for the Napa Auto Parts All-Star Circuit of Champions, presented by Valvoline. All races all season long on Flow Racing, Central PA this week, followed by Ohio Speedway. We are not off until after July 4th weekend. Of course, High Limit comes back in town, as well as the Outlaws come back to the East Coast. So we take the month off just like we did the last month. Let our guys go run High Limit, go run the Outlaws, and then we are back at it again in August to September. No weeks off. Indiana, Michigan. It's going to be a fun season. One race in the book. Caleb Henry leads the points, but still 13 drivers battling for actually a pretty big points fund for 30 races on the schedule. Again, all races on Flow Racing. I'm sorry if my voice is annoying. You can mute me. I have no offense to it whatsoever. Jimmy mutes me all the time anyway, so there's no issue there. Jay-Z, we know where he stands on it.
I only mute you in text chat because you start talking wild. So you start talking wild sometimes. So
you mean like how Ohio Speed Week's better than PA Speed Week? But I can say that I went to PA Speed Week for so many years.
I won't mute you for that, but I do mute you when you start talking about Ohio State of being better than Penn State and all that. I can't deal with that.
Who won a national title? Oh,
I don't care. I'm muting you.
Thank you to. hey, I gotta thank Fox. Put us at a noon kickoff when we're in Ohio. I'm gonna think about going to Ohio State, Texas before a race, but it's fine.
Yeah.
A huge shout out to Rich Farmer for making all this possible, bringing this back, and on short notice putting together a schedule. You think about when the announcement came that the All-Stars were back to when the schedule was released at PRI, making the staff moves, on top of promoting Fremont, also promoting Waynesfield. Big shout out. Mansfield now is bought, and they are trying to get that racetrack back. That is a massive win there. I really hope. He's hoping to get it back by next year. It's going to be tough. That is a massive undertaking.
It's still a dirt track, though.
If he can get it back by next year, I really hope it's on the schedule, because that's a big bucket list track. A lot of these racetracks nobody's have heard of. Again, watch all these races on Flow. A lot of drivers you might have never heard running these races, and who knows, a lot of drivers you have heard of in Central PA will be at some of these races, including Ohio Speed Week. It's going to be a fun season. One race under the belt,
gonna make a name for
still
themselves,
have 27 races left to go.
Yeah. Some of them are going to make a name for themselves too. You know what I mean? I think there's going to be some of these guys that come in and really shock this weekend. I really do. That's why, I don't know if they're going to grab a win, but
I forgot one sponsor.
I think they're going to be way more
Utilities as well. Forgot Level Utilities. They came on as the Dash sponsor right before opening night, so another shout out for them too.
Shout out.
But again,
you're so professional, Alex.
I try.
So professional.
I try. It's housekeeping. That's what we call it. It's literally housekeeping. It's a routine. We do it every single time. But again, don't forget, I know Jimmy doesn't cover it much, but every Wednesday night, Action Track USA runs, and a lot of guys that you've heard of are running there. You think of it, Kenny Miller III, Christian Bruno. There's a lot of guys like Nash Ely that got their starts in micros, and now we're running 410 wing sprint cars. So I always promote it. The stars of tomorrow at any racetrack. Kutztown is phenomenal. Clyde Martin. 600s. Heck, go watch a quarter midget race. These kids are phenomenal. I know Timmy Buckwalter's kid's now in a slingshot, as well as Billy Pouch III is in a slingshot. So again, go watch these smaller races. I mean, Kutztown this week is going to be phenomenal. Super Nationals for them at Kutztown starting the week 1 of that. So they'll be at Kutztown, Linda's, and Hamlin. So, or that's next weekend when we're in Ohio. So again, there's always racing, always great racing. Even if you never like it, ask Jimmy. Jimmy went to what you go to? You went to a modified racetrack at Bridgeport. You liked it.
I love it.
You went to a super late model race that had no sprint cars when I was there. You loved it.
Yeah.
You also loved it because Rick Eckert offered both of us cake after he won it.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. They just offered me a piece of the cake that he won. So, but yeah, no, I mean,
go to any racetrack.
Go to any racetrack because you don't know what.
Now.
You don't know what you're gonna like until you go there. You know what I mean?
Especially with how many rainouts you've had this year. Go to any racetrack. Heck, honestly, if I didn't have to pick up my mom from the airport yesterday, I would have been at Fremont last Saturday night to watch Fremont. Because, honestly, 7 hours is, it's a haul. As Jimmy was going to go to Fremont with me opening night.
I was. I was thinking about it. We almost did. But, all right, Alex, we got to go. We are on almost 3 hours. I appreciate you coming on. Wish you guys the best of luck this weekend. I'm hoping to get out into at least one of these races and see you. Thank you all for joining us. Anybody that has listened to us, really, really